Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. This morning is the last day of February. The end of one thing, and then we're step right into beginning a new season. Good morning to our listeners online, to our listeners on air. It's usually I do the reverse, but for some reason I'm very locked into the online streaming platforms this morning. But good morning to those of you who are on air. We are first and foremost a radio program that we stream on other platforms is just a very interesting bonus. But to all of you, we say good morning, and we certainly hope that you had a weekend that was uplifting spiritually, not too distressing and distracting by reason of things that are happening internationally, but that you're focused and you're locked and loaded, ready to address the issues of the day. Good morning to you, Pastor Percival.
Good morning, Minette. How are you today?
I am very well. And let me say good morning also to our crew in the house, our engineer and our producer. Good morning, both of you.
Up here, grumbling.
No,
Like people are not fully
no.
awake.
You
As
hear
yet.
bass line.
Yeah,
You
hear
hear the
bass
man
line playing.
talking. It's man talking hearing.
But say man talk, where the
Yeah.
man them in the house, all the man them say good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yeah, but it is great to be alive. It is good to, even with the international conflict that is happening, some good news. Um, we've been tracking some of our former students out of 61 Red Hills Road, meaning students, persons who went through there and are studying in Ukraine. And we got a message last night in Poland, and we were tracking their journey for the last week or so when this conflict broke, because they reached out to us as a Old Boys Association. And I'm so glad that we got the good news. Yes, we are safely in Poland, and a bus came to pick us up. So,
Did you offer them a loan?
no, well, poor me can't offer them a loan. Probably in the future, but we're not going to do that. I will not. I am just so excited that they are safe, and more students and more Jamaican nationals are safe in terms of out of the zone. Mm, You know.
You know, when you think about, just imagine if this were happening, 20, 30 years ago,
Mhm.
how difficult it would have been for students to access resources and support outside of what government provides.
Mhm.
I am just really thankful that despite all that is happening, the technology
Allows us.
has held up. I mean, not just only allowing us to do this, but if you think War 101, and don't ask me why I know about War 101, you cut off communication.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You isolate people. But the technology is such now that it is very difficult
Mhm.
to cut off communication without there being a certain level of cooperation between international partners,
Mm.
because we I mean, every major country has satellites allowing for connectivity in one form or another between far-flung parts of the world. So I'm really glad that the Calabar Network, I know you didn't call their name, but I'm very glad that as something, as I would say, seemingly informal,
Mhm.
because it's non-governmental, and
Yeah.
you'll understand why I'm emphasizing the non-governmental side of it, that the network produced results that were beneficial, and I'm going to say most likely convenient. You weren't offering them a loan. You weren't trying to distance yourself from an obligation to be humanitarian in your response. I am very disappointed that the government of Jamaica came up with this idea of trying to get students who needed humanitarian relief to
Hello.
sign a loan document. And I'm glad that the students I would sign it and just come home and
Forget
deal
about
with it. But they were not taken in by it. They had options, and those options delivered.
Mhm.
Um,
So we were grateful, and I think we were so glad that we were able to facilitate. And some people call it the brotherhood. Some brotherhoods are stronger than others, but we were so glad that we were able to facilitate
is it a new thing?
the brotherhood.
Mm-hmm. It's
No.
different from brotherhood. Are you being politically correct? There's no need to be. Brotherhood is a perfectly respectable concept. You were not being funny. You really were calling it Brotherhood. What are they doing in pastor school these days?
Motherhood. Yes, yes. Thanks for the correction. But this morning,
You mean it wasn't a joke?
joke, man.
Oh,
Just
okay.
saying.
Brotherhoody.
Yeah, that brothers we were able to reach out. Yeah,
I
present.
was gonna make a joke. It might be too early.
in the morning.
Yo. Yes. Okay.
It has woken you up, hasn't
The
it?
people of the circumcision don't want to talk about brotherhood.
Yeah, but it is thing. So where are you in the scriptures this month? Because I'm in Psalm 18 and you
Yeah,
are
we
somewhere
had a-
else.
Yeah, man. We had a laugh about that, you see, Mr. Producer. Because he showed me, I was showing him my psalm because we're going to be talking some heavy matters this morning, notwithstanding the good humor. So I'm in Psalm 27, and you will see why. You want to do your psalm first? Do the full version. man.
That, we've come back to the breaks.
Really?
Yes.
Saved by the Bell?
Not saved by the bell, but it. No. Hallelujah.
So
Mm.
I'm in Psalm 27. Right? We're in the break. Oh, well, so I'm in Psalm 27, which is the warrior's psalm.
Mhm.
And Pastor was in Psalm 18, which seemed to be the coward's psalm.
Then I call
Are we
it,
taking the break now? Okay, so let me.
We'll be right back. Youths, are you stressed? Are you faced with trauma? Well, this is the program for you. Join Royton McLaren for Youth Resilience and Empowerment every Monday from 7:30 to 8. p.m. on Best 100.5 FM.
Half a tree, 100, half a tree. Bossy, how we do I take taxi star?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, at 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
Try calling, because trust me.
Winters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
What a relief.
Hey, Zay, let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer the truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Donna, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith. God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record Label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
My station.
Moving. Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM, keep listening.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during, and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to ADPEM.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
The Morning Connection is pleased to join hearts and hands with the other members of the Best FM family to celebrate Black History Month. We have chosen to promote the strength and resilience of our people by echoing the call of Marcus Garvey for this mighty race to arise in power and perform the outstanding exploits which is our birthright. We are indomitable, courageous, and innovative, but we need to encourage and build each other into a unified force. Join us in our discussions, presentations, and cultural explorations as we examine the truths and traditions of our race in an effort to strengthen us in meeting the challenges of today.
Up you mighty race, accomplish what you will. Let's return to truth and traditions, right here on Best 100 FM, bringing it to you truthfully.
Vijam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vijam Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. Thank you for staying with us. So we want to start you off on the right foot this morning. And we actually have two psalms. We're in a melodic mood. So we have two songs that we are going to use as the foundation of our discussions. Let me tell you what the discussions will be about, however. There is war, open war, meaning the kind you visualize and read about when you think of conflict. You know, troops moving into a country, citizens in a certain amount of distress, bloodshed, and just dislocation and concern, not just from within the country, but also outside. Persons looking on, expressing concern, having the different discussions regarding the possible outcome and the impact that the conflict will have on relationships surrounding the country and going forward. So, war, as one would ordinarily understand it. But in considering it, I have recognized that Jamaica has itself been under siege and the subject of great conflict for a long time. And some of what we see happening in a very intense arena on the international front are things which we have seen happening in our own communities, within our own borders. We have become somewhat immune to it, and that's probably not the right word, because the truth of it is it continues to cause havoc and to damage our psyche and our environment, our economy. But we are, I would say, we are in somewhat of a daze, not recognizing it for what it is, not responding to it as we should. And as a consequence, it has gone on for a long time. We've not taken the necessary steps to bring it to a halt. So I was led to look at Psalm 27. Pastor Percival has a psalm earlier in the book. Let's call it that. Is it Psalm 18?
Yes, Psalm 18.
So I'm gonna let you go first. Also, seniority matters. Senior pastor, Elder Percival.
All these things, all of these titles and things. But anyway,
you go first. And
I will love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. My God, my strength, in whom I will trust. My shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. I'll stop there, but I think it places everything in a context that the hope and the strength of who I am is in God. So whatever happens, He is my rock, He is my salvation. So even if there's war and many enemies would come after me, I'm secure in the knowledge that He is my foundation. Selah.
Amen. So clearly, Psalm 18 is a foundation psalm for what we are about to move into. I say foundation because you've got to sort of identify your position and recognize your strength before. It's sort of like doing an audit. Check your armory, your weapons, your soldiers. Make sure that you know the source of your strength, your strategy for handling the conflict. And Psalm 18 certainly does that. Psalm 27 now is the rallying cry. This is what you are saying. This is your pep talk for your troops as you are rolling out. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?
Lord is the strength
The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and my foes who will stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above the enemies who surround me. At his sacred tent, I will sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord. This is my Psalms, and this is the one I am using to rally the troops as we move into a season of resistance, of victory, of taking control to the point where we will sing and make music. That's where I am.
That says, "Let God arise,
and his enemies
let
be
his
scattered."
enemies be scattered.
But we don't want the enemies to scatter because we want them. We want to take charge of the field. You know, they scatter, they go and they hide in the rocks and discover God on their own.
Oh, but that's what you want them to do. You want them to
We want them to discover God, but some of them have to be destroyed because they keep coming back.
Interesting.
They keep coming back. Right.
So you're in a war mode.
I'm very much in war mode. We're closing with this is the final day of our Black History Month celebration. So we've strengthened ourselves in our identity. I've recorded for you, as you requested, the various declarations that took us through the month and which we will be continuing. Let me find on my screen the last one, and which we will be continuing into the season because it's important that we keep speaking the words. And I also documented the 1660 fact sheet, which Ras Kremlin, good morning to you, my brother. I have it printed in living color, as they say, and I will leave it here at the studio for you to collect as you requested. So we're ready to sort of go public with some more information. One or two persons have called and asked. Yes, so we're gonna put it on websites and publish it by some kind of broadcast. With
it's gonna, I believe it's gonna get traction, and then we're gonna take it into other media and see where it really can become a rallying cry and a mobilization of some of the things that we've been praying about. We're moving from faith to action.
Yeah, can I tell you, Pastor? As you know, when we announced 1660, you and I didn't have no discussion about it beforehand. In fact, I tell you, as the inspiration lick, it was announced, and you came in and you did your part in making it public knowledge. But at the time, I don't even remember where we were in the run up to this conflict with Ukraine and Russia and NATO and all the talk of war and its impact on the world economy. But 1660 is now at the heart of how we will organize ourselves to claim the victory that Psalm 27 speaks of. When the wicked advance against me to devour me, they are the ones who will stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. Your Psalm 18 speaks to the source of this confidence. And later on, of course, these are both Psalms of David. And we know that David was a warrior.
But he was a warrior and a
he
worshiper.
was a worshiper of the highest order, because even as he is lacing up his boots and getting his armor on for war. He's saying the one thing that I ask from the Lord, the only thing I seek, not victory in war, because he already acknowledged that the battle is not his, it belongs to the Lord, and the victory is assured. Therefore, he can keep his focus on worshiping. This only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord. So poetic. I absolutely loved. In the day of trouble, he keeps me safe. We are in a day of trouble. Well, Jamaica has had many days of trouble. I want us to talk a little bit about the siege that we've been under. And I was tracking news, making some points on just listening to what is happening, how the impact on Ukraine, what's being said. And I thought, but the same thing applied to Jamaica. They announced yesterday 352 people dead, 14 of them children. What is our death count since January? We're marching along quite nicely, and we don't have soldiers. We don't have foreign soldiers flooding the streets. Yeah. So 352 dead, 14 children. Guns barking in the streets, and soldiers deployed across the civic, the urban landscape. Citizens taking up arms, and civilians are making Molotov cocktails in their homes. They had like a little
defending them.
Yeah, they had a housewife was explaining that the armory department is like in the kitchen, and the kids are in one corner. I mean, the house had become a fort. And I can imagine that how she was having to explain it to her children, because they had small kids. So households having to recognize that they have a role to play and they need to defend their territory. Same thing necessary in Jamaica. Families fleeing their homes where they're in the conflict is too hot in those neighborhoods. People have to leave their homes. How many times we hear of families having to leave neighborhoods in Jamaica because for one reason or another, reprisal, killing. Yeah, we are in the same situation. Some of them crossing the border and leaving whatever they cannot take. We've seen homes burnt out. The families don't even get an opportunity to take anything because the conflict was such that the enemy burned up their house. And you see them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a story of this Jamaican past who's married, was in Ukraine, and he was sending back and says, all we have is what is in our two suitcase.
Yeah.
They have little children and they're trekking in the snow.
In the snow. Yeah. I mean, you'd have to say the Ukrainians are a little better off than us because they can walk to a country that is conflict free. We are trapped by that pond of water that is around us called Caribbean Sea. We can't leave as easily. We are like held hostage in here by our enemies. Then you see the damage to the infrastructure. This morning, a market has been burnt down. Vendors who would normally buy their trade in the market are weeping at the ashes of what once was. And this is the second market in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because Ray market.
Only last week we were announcing, and look at Coronation Market. It might not have been burnt down, but the way that Mary talks about the condition of it, maybe that it would be a relief if it got burnt. Our infrastructure has been damaged, critical infrastructure. Then you have interruption of work and productivity and the loss of income. I mean, what is happening there? You think people are trying to continue in their jobs and getting up, getting dressed and driving to work as if nothing is happening? No. People have been, their earning capacity has been impaired. Same thing here in Jamaica. I mean, pandemic aside, because that was a pandemic. But there are persons who have not been able to work. Some can't get work because of where they live or the environment in which they have to exist. And there are some persons who, because the economy has been so battered, have been displaced and are just out there fending for themselves. Homelessness. Yeah, homelessness in Jamaica, it's now chronic. Persons, either because you lost your house through one misfortune or another, or because of conflict in your communities, persons have been rendered homeless and have been displaced from their natural environment. Families, young and old, have had to get involved in fighting to maintain their freedom and to offer resistance to the invading force, let's call it that. The government has been handing out weapons.
Yeah,
they show you lines of people. I mean, some don't have about to handle the firearm. What you're going to do with it? Well, one man said he's going to go home and study it and figure out how to use it. But the government has recognized that when the people are under threat, they need a fighting chance. Well, we're not there yet in Jamaica. We have one caller who keeps making the point that able-bodied persons of a certain maturity should freely have access to firearms. But the government has recognized its inability to stem the assault on its people, and it's giving them a fighting chance. In Ukraine, you can see the enemy rolling in. What do you do, however, when the enemy is within? And that is the Jamaican question. How do we respond to a siege when those who have built siege ramps against our city walls are our own people? When those who are responsible for handling business are not handling it and are not giving us the opportunity to handle things ourselves? We're gonna work our way to answering that question. We have to do it together. I can't really tell you exactly how to answer it because the answer has to be right for you, and it means it's a process we do together. I wanted to talk about some basic forms of oppression. I've just highlighted a few that we see here in our own environment. But before I do that, I want to talk about what it means to be under siege. All of us, I think we have a general idea, but let's go back into a little bit of history to understand how the siege or the besiegement of a city became a critical tool in the enemy's armory on how to take a city. So first, let's understand how we ended up captured, and then we're going to look at the strategies to recapture ground. How we're going to get into the Psalm 27 mode now of seeing the enemy being the one to fall, even though they are the ones who made the assault against our city. What is a siege? In the ancient world, a city wasn't a city without gates and walls. You had to have a perimeter. Now, as I've said for Jamaica, our gates and walls is the Caribbean Sea because we are hemmed in by water.
Yeah, but in another sense, in terms of being at sea, siege, a very important thing is walls. But walls can be physical walls, but there can also be walls that God has put up, which protect us spiritually, which are very, very important in terms of understanding.
So you're not going to the solution before we analyze the problem?
No, I don't want to go into the solution. You know, that is how my brain working. I see the problem, but my brain quickly goes to then, what is there? How are we going to deal with it? So the whole thing about walls are important. It says a man without self-control is like a city without walls in the proverb. So that is, you get that picture. And I often say to my children, one of the main things that you need to practice in your life is learn self-control, because without self-control, you're open to anything happening to you. You're under siege in terms of your mind, and that's also important. One of the things, even as we talk about being under siege, we have had the battlefield of the mind. Remember that series that we did? Yes, the battlefield of the mind. And that is where the enemy assaults us most of the time. So we have to learn to build walls that will help us. When he begins to siege our minds come under siege, we're able to fight back. Go on.
The reason that I started by looking at gates and walls is because gates and walls serve a dual function. They keep you in and they keep things out.
Amen.
Now, the fact that they keep things out means that you can, by controlling your walls and your gates, you can keep things out deliberately. However, your walls and your gates also have the capability to be used against you to isolate you and to put you under siege. So, we're back to the ancient days, because the military strategy of a siege originates in that time when the city gates and walls could become a weapon against the city itself, could be weaponized. Yes? All right. The walls served as the primary means of defense and protection from an invasion. An invading army could just sweep through you if you have no boundaries, as Pastor was saying, both in the spiritual and in the natural. So in times of war, all an enemy had to do was to surround the city wall and lay siege to it. The purpose of the siege is to starve the inhabitants of food and water, forcing them to surrender. Often a siege took months or even years, but it was very effective. All it took was time. To besiege a city or occurs when an armed force surrounds and isolates it while usually continuing its attacks upon it. So you can pressure one part of the wall to break through. In general, siege warfare involves bombardment and cutoff of supply, which causes starvation and deprivation. It's usually only after the city surrendered or was greatly weakened that the infantry would enter. So the enemy would suffer, low loss of life, if any, because the city has become so weary by reason of the siege. Why am I going through this? Jamaica is a bit weary. We've been under siege. We've not even recognized I believe sometimes we get confused about the enemy. Sometimes we think it's the lawless people who are what they call the crime producers. Sometimes we think it's the government. Sometimes we think it's our neighbor. Sometimes we think it's God. Sometimes we think it's Satan. And depending on what hour of the day and how the siege manifests itself, we are confused about the source of it and who is the true enemy. One thing we can sometimes we think is America, because they're pushing us in one direction or another, or it's China because they've come to take away our land, or we have any number of speculative theories about who is the true enemy. Pastor, do we want to discuss who is the true enemy?
Who is the true enemy?
Yes. Who is the true enemy?
Ourselves. It can happen in a
Yes.
way.
No, but that's why I said the enemy is within.
Yeah.
The enemy is within.
Because
Many
if
times
we
in this program, we've come to the realization that the reason we have not succeeded in addressing the siege is because in order to triumph, we have to deny self. We have to destroy self and choose something of a far higher order in order to overcome.
Which is why we continue to speak of the golden rule. Love God, but love neighbor as yourself, because love
perfect love casts out all fear.
Love of God and love of self means that if you love yourself the way that you love God, then you love your neighbor as yourself. And a lot of people don't love themselves. That is why they do not love their neighbor. Yeah. So that's an important thing. So a lot of the things that need to happen with ourselves if we are going to overcome and break the siege ramps that have
been built against our psyche or against our communities.
And even in terms of our mindset, because that's where most of the siege happens. You have to break mindsets. You have to break mindsets. We are thinking. Because if you don't do that, even if you shift something that is external and a mindset is not broken, you're going to go back to square one. One of the things as we come up on our break, I learned early when I was in educational system formally with my students, you could train them, but if you never broke mindsets, they'd go back to
revert the type.
Yeah, so I'm saying, no, you got to change the way that you think, and in changing the way that you think, in terms of breaking your mindset, you're setting up yourself for true success.
All right.
That's important.
So through the pandemic, we saw the world went into kind of like a test mode to see how would the world respond under siege. And we learned some things. We learned that we can be herded into a place where we are given food or no. We're given medical therapies or no. Yes, because we've had to contend with the vaccine inequities on the world stage, who gets how it is shared out, and we've seen what has happened as those who did. Absolutely.
That has emerged.
Yes.
Big time.
So we have two things to talk about. I'm going to just look through. Let's talk about consequences of siege and see. I have like I have 15 of them, and I want to see how many apply to Jamaica. Can we just whisk through it? I'll call them and you give me a vote. It brings pain and discomfort. Desolation and emptiness, poverty, lack of essential commodities, meaning food, water, power, energy, medical care, good education, frustration. People are what they call it, stressed out, mind oppression, confused, you don't know which way to go, confusion, lack of direction, lack of peace, discouragement, sleeplessness.
More people taking sleeping pills.
Siege brings stagnation and limitation.
That again.
Fear and intimidation.
That's a major
starvation. Can't get enough food. Suffering.
Yeah.
All right. Jamaica is under siege. Let's take the break.
We'll be right back.
Talk
talking about transportation, transporting the past, the present, and the future generation. Whether taxi, private vehicle, or bike, your 2 bicycle wheel, them are a hike. Listen up, quick, you coulda young or you old. Up on the bus, cause we are on the road.
With just under 12% of the Jamaican labor force being covered by formal pension arrangements, Victoria Mutual, VM Pensions Management Limited, has launched a pension scheme particularly for members of the public passenger vehicle PPV sector. I am Jeremy Lee Nelson. Come back with the road right after this break.
Gravenders, red cap porters and transportation at airport. Make a tourism pension plan, building towards the future. For tourism workers across the island, retirement benefits to contributions. Every worker in the industry, permanent self-employed. Contract for your service, you deserve security. Yes, you do. Tourism workers pension plan, build a bright future. Yes, you can. Tourism workers pension plan, workers invest through contributions. All tourism workers, age 18 to 59. Tourism workers pension plan.
Start making your contributions for a brighter future.
For further information, visit mot.gov.jm or call 876-920-4926 to 30.
Transport operators in Jamaica play a very important part in many of our lives. Think about it. These are the people in whose care we put our children, our parents, and other loved ones every day. And in so doing, are absolutely critical component of our local economy. It is therefore unacceptable for hard-working transport operators to be without a pension plan.
Chief Executive Officer at VM Pensions Management, Conroy Rose. Transport Operators Development for Sustainable Services, TODS, has welcomed the initiative, with the group's president, Egerton Newman, noting that the initiative stands not only to benefit members of TODS, but all operators across the sector. Mr. Newman says many PPV operators have given decades of service to the transport sector and end up with little to nothing to fall back on when they reach retirement.
For far too long, members, after working in the sector for 30, 40 years, reach 65 years of age, nothing to fall back on. Time has come. This must stop now.
Minister of Transport and Mining Audley Shaw is urging eligible members of the public transportation sector to join the pension scheme, particularly given the need for individual financial protection, most recently highlighted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Every person should be able to retire in comfort and security. So this pension scheme is a timely one. The pandemic has affected many individuals and families globally. If somebody is injured, they are to fund their families. It's not how long things to continue. Sometimes we put aside for many years and urging the eligible not to miss the opportunity to join this pension scheme.
Minister Shaw says the scheme is also paving the way for discussions about financial benefits for the sector in areas such as life and health insurance and financial literacy.
It is imperative that we work to have these open discussions with the aim of taking decisive action so the families of these operators can look to a brighter future, not just a daily bread. The benefits of financial literacy extend way beyond household budgeting to the promotion of a more resilient financial system and ultimately to the more efficient allocation of resources within the economy.
Minister of Transport and Mining, Audley Shaw. And that's where we are going to let you off with the road this week. For more information on how to register for the VM Pension Scheme as a transport operator, contact VM Pensions Management Limited by calling 876-754-7265. I am Jeremy Lee Nelson, and until next time, you could walk, ride, take taxi or bus. Remember to stay alert while you do road.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
It's my station.
Moving.
It's my station.
Moving. Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM, keep listening.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all. You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Live the life. Respect the music. And keep your radio locked in.
The best 100 FM.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
This is Madam Michelle, and I want to take time out to big up all our artists link up, kings and queens. Artists link up, one link.
When I'm in town, I tune into Best 100 FM. ALU with Madam Michelle. every Monday at 6 p.m. This is some of the best music. This program is sponsored by Gel Music Records, Kalanji Music, and Bad Bull Productions. Madam Michelle was born playing music on Best FM 100.
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection, and good morning to those who are chatting with me online, Miss Jacqueline and Mr. Orlando in the house. Good morning to both of you. I see your comments, and yes, this morning is a morning of truth. We have to take a look at ourselves, see what is truly happening. Look at it with spiritual eyes. I'm saying, meaning. See behind the facade of things, recognize what is truly happening in our communities, in our country, and deal with it from the root.
Which has to be a spiritual root.
Yeah.
Because everything begins there and then we see the manifestation. So when I hear a lot of people speaking, no man, deal with it. No, I'm saying no, but everything has a spiritual root because we are spirit, soul, body. And if everything begins in the spiritual realm and we understand that, we have to deal with it there and then we'll see the manifestation of it. And that just points me to the fact, even in psychology, first it was just, let's focus on the physical, but more and more they are understanding that we are tripartite beings, spirit, soul, and body. So in terms of healing for individuals, you have to take in the spiritual component because a very important and significant part of their functioning.
Yeah. Just from a perspective of if you are adept at diagnosing problems, you know that when you can identify the symptoms and work your way back to the cause. And you might treat the symptoms in order to give an immediate relief because there is pain and discomfort. I'm going back to the consequences of a siege. There's pain and discomfort. And so you might address the symptoms in palliative just to give ease. But if you're distracted by the symptoms and focus your attention entirely in that place, you will never cure the disease that is at the root of the problem. And a lot of what we do in Jamaica is palliative. We are only sticking a band-aid over. Sometimes it's not even for the sufferer, the response you give is not for the sufferer. It's for you to keep it out of your side, because when you slap a band-aid over it, you no longer see how cancerous, how putrid, how degenerate the situation has become. You're hiding it from yourself. And
which is true. And if you look at it, let's extrapolate
that a little more.
Even further within all of the things that are happening in Jamaica. We talk about crime and violence, and we say, oh, let's get the guns, which is an important thing. But as I often say to people always find a way to...
When you take away the guns, we'll go back to using knives and acid and whatever else we can get.
So we have to go to the root cause of
right.
What is causing our people to be and to respond in that way? Are we dealing with things that have come back from slavery? Are we dealing with broken family life? Are we dealing with poor parenting? We have to get to the root cause and deal with those things, and then we begin to get change. And I can never forget when Professor Clayton was on, and he was talking about how we should deal with problems, and he says it's going to take long term, but we have to go and deal with our children in terms of what is happening in the educational system, in terms of moral education and so on. So that's what it speaks. So let us stop from just dealing with symptoms to go to what are the root cause and what is happening in the life of people. Brethren.
Right. So I completely lost my train.
No,
of
but you were
thought.
talking about the pain and the discomfort in terms of symptoms. You do palliative care, and you put on a band-aid which hides the thing from you, and you don't want to see it. So you do something in regards to that. That's where you
Right.
were. Yeah.
Okay. So what led me that direction is because I want us to look at Jamaica, look at how we've been handling things in Jamaica, recognize that Jamaica itself has been under siege, that the enemy we face is within. It is not external. The externalities are just a red herring, a distraction. Because if we are truly confident in who we are and we are moving as one, then we can face those external pressures with a different mindset and with a different agenda and objective. All right, when a country is under siege, there's really only one response. And when I say repentance, I mean it in the sense of the word. I mean it in the spiritual sense, and I mean it in the socio-psychological sense, meaning that you have to change behaviors and begin to do and take actions that will recapture lost ground.
That's correct.
So on the repentance side, I'm moving right now, into the 1660 program that Percival and I launched last week. A week ago, we had a call from one of our listeners in a community called Child in St. Elizabeth. And what she spoke of brought me to that fresh recognition that the community on the siege. I mean, I saw it as plain as day that this community, if you could notionally erect boundaries around it, the boundaries had been torn down or penetrated by outsiders moving in from a different community. They were sleeping in the day and raiding the community in the night. And the way she described it, she said it had got to such a level of frenzy that they weren't even waiting until night. They were out at twilight, robbing and just sucking the life and the money out of whomever had it in the community. And what I saw in this is in my envisioning of things, what I saw was a community of primarily hardworking women and persons of a certain age, because in most rural communities, the young people are not the ones staying at home and so on. Most of them are up and about, and it's the mothers and the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the more senior citizens who are in the communities, who are at home in bed at night with maybe grandchildren and young children. So I saw the vulnerability of a community which has become prey to persons who have an entirely different agenda. These are our sons or nephews or boyfriends or husbands from other places who have chosen to oppress others as a means of survival. They themselves are victims, but they turn around and create the same fear and intimidation, which brought them to such a low estate. They then impose it on others. Now you might say, what is Putin's problem? I'm not concerned with Putin's problem right now, because look what is happening. Ukraine may count itself fortunate because it is having to confront its enemy. There's such urgency to what is happening there that they can't stick a band-aid on it and look away. The wolf is at the door. You got to decide. Are you going to open the door and meet him with force, or are you going to hide behind a rock? Are you going to hide in a back room until he makes his way towards you? It's an immediate choice you have to make, and Jamaica has a choice to make now. 1660 is one of the approaches that we're recommending. Now, when you do so I got a sort of a roadmap on how the methodology for this thing. We have to evaluate, we need to document, and then we need to pray. That's the first sequence of events in participating in the program and in getting ourselves organized to respond in this war.
In this siege, because we're in the war and the siege, they're moving up the next level. Okay, we come in, but now they're at your door.
And they've been at our door for a while, and they think we're weak now and ready for the taking. Yeah. Remember, the infantry enters the city when it has made an assessment that the city is sufficiently weak and you can take it. All right. We want to surprise them. We want to surprise them by being prepared, and not just being prepared in a passive-aggressive way, but we are going to return fire with fire. We are retaking our communities. That is the mandate. And we're starting at the community level because it has to be a small enough space that you can control.
True.
We can't do no national. We're not trying to.
Impact.
Yeah, because if you think the enemy is the government, then the appropriate response is to vote them out. But that happens every 5 years. We don't have that kind of time. Many are gonna fall before we get to that point. So it is what she say. Now is the acceptable time. It is a today event. We have to get into the mode of changing mindsets and actions so that we can retake our community. So let's look at some of the strategies of the enemy. Common types of oppression. The first one I'm going to name, not targeting it, is sexism. This kind of oppression exists. This is social behavior now. This exists where we unconsciously assign unwanted roles based on gender assignment. Meaning to say, the girls in the house, because they are girls, they must cook and wash regardless of what is involved in cooking and washing or who benefits from the cooking and washing. So you have situations where women go to work, she come back in, she have to do all of what is the girl things. Sometimes the women don't want to do it, but it works the other way too. Maybe the man is willing to do it, but it's not manly. And so he himself suffers because if he were to be seen in the community, looking after the baby, washing and cooking and cleaning up, while the woman is out working, he comes under some kind of mockery and ridicule because he's doing work that's not fit for men. So sexism,
not fit for men.
Yeah. So sexism and the different ways in which we socially send messages towards. Let me tell you, some of the men who are out there robbing and stealing, that's man work. They would have happily stayed home and look after their children if they were in an environment that honored that type of commitment and gave favor to it. And you say that is changing, it's good, but it needs to be eliminated.
But let me say, all right. You are saying,
because we're not only describing type of oppression, and saying it is prevalent or just doing description.
If you are saying
gender,
okay, you're saying something fundamental wrong at your point.
No, I'm saying it can be used in an oppressive way.
Right.
I'm not saying it should be no assignment. I'm saying we should not use it to oppress.
Okay, all right.
Remember that many of the tools of oppression are good, useful boundaries and activities that, when used in a healthy way, are very progressive and prosperous and necessary. We're talking about oppression. The same way kind of useful to starve, to punish, to reward, and make and weaponize it.
And I'm asking a question because I don't want people to misunderstand what you are trying to communicate.
No, and I don't want you to misunderstand either. Your questions are very welcome. Then there is heterosexism. This now is where we assume that people should all feel the same way, which is the hetero part of it. And the danger part now is where we punish people who don't feel the same way.
Okay. And you said it according to the dictionary, discrimination or prejudice against gay people on the assumption that heterosexuality is a normal sexual orientation.
Precisely so.
Okay,
and it's not your belief that it is normal that is bad. It is your decision to punish, to discriminate, to hurt people who feel differently than you do. Not of God.
And it's reverse, as it's happening in the world now. Because they're not so they punish you.
Yes. So it's using anything to cause oppression.
Right.
Then there's classism. This is a favorite and one that is well known in Jamaica. This is where wealthy and influential people congregate, spend time together, associate, and set rules for who can enter and who can't. And they use wealth to oppress the poor, setting social rules for entry into their class. Classism.
If you have money like a new rich in Jamaica.
There are some steps, some obstacles you have to overcome in order to be admitted into the class.
And even though you have money, don't mean nothing.
Yeah, so for example, a group of influential people can party like, it's, 1999? They can party hard at a luxury hotel and completely escape any form of punishment. But a street worker ends up before the court for breaching the Disaster Risk Management Act, or you have seen it. How influential people somehow have loopholes and catch-22s that pretty much insulate them from challenge. But those who are of a lesser balance sheet, somehow they're the ones that always get caught in the net. And you say like, oh, that's so unlucky. Then there's racism. We know this one. Racism is not just loving your own race and recognizing that there are differences between races. It is the belief that one race is genetically inferior or superior to another. Do we have much of that in Jamaica? I don't think. I think we have more classes. Then there's ageism. Ageism is just treating the young or the old, I'm including, it's treating people of a particular chronological age. Treating them, differently to an unnatural degree. So the old, you part them, so they don't have no use, you discriminate against them in very harmful ways. Or the very young, you treat them as having no voice, being a burden on society, and to an unnatural degree, because some of it is true, in the sense that they are vulnerable people who need to be treated in a particular way. I've not included in it the discrimination against persons who have disabilities. I've not included that. But that is also one way of oppressing your people, where persons whose ability differs from the norm in one way or another are treated Either they're treated very badly as though they have no value, or they are treated kindly but to extreme where they are not allowed to participate or express themselves because we think that they have no value. But no, not in the negative, to the extent where you shut down their ability to contribute and to participate.
And
That is also
affecting
a
us.
form of oppression, and that is affecting us too. Then comes the one that we still carry, colonialism. This is where powerful immigrants take over. They come in and they take over. They know best. They have better technology. They're more sophisticated. Their culture gives them privilege and advantage. Colonialism is affected by immigrants. You come into a spot and you decide that we are still subject to that form of oppression, not just by virtue of our history, but even today. If you have a contract, let's say you need some sophisticated type of service to build your society, you put out RFPs and we are looking through the door to see which foreigner is going to answer. And you have people right here in Jamaica with the ability, with the skill. But if it is not coming from outside, it is not regarded as having great value. And I see Jamaicans, I've spoken to Jamaicans who themselves practice it. They are answering an RFP, they need to find 2 or 3 foreign consultants to put on their team because they feel that the team is not going to be looked at without that component.
And that's a reality of
Absolutely, that is colonialism too. Same thing, we open up an industry for investment and we eyes get dim looking for the foreigner to bring foreign direct investment in order to build.
What about JDIs?
Apparently that has no value.
They have
Colonialism, back to the sport.
Let me just show something in this mix. You know, it's
something
all
in
of the operation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Man. 6 is a man.
I picked 6, so that is mine. Listen, when you go hunting, you can find.
No, but I just found that significant.
Yes, yeah. I actually found 12 top ones, so which is still 6.
Yeah,
because it's 6 plus 6. Yeah. So you're right there. It is, man.
But then the one that deals with that from a 7 perspective is completion. There's neither male or female, Jew or Greek. We are all one in Christ. And that's the liberating thing that comes, that he invites us to stand against it. When it's happening, we need to say, no, that does not represent kingdom principles. That does not represent the God who we serve in terms of loving the neighbor as yourself. Because all of these things speak to not loving people.
Yeah. We have 2 minutes before the break, and we have 2 things to cover. I have the 1660 fact sheet, which has some points that I just want to repeat. And I have our 6 declarations, 6 again, that I want us to just go through them again. This time as the foundation for the 1660. Maybe the ideal is to just go into it after the break, because it's not something that we should rush through. And just hail up Ricky B, who give me a whole heap of fire on the line. I tell you. Thank you again. Good morning to you. All right. To set the mind for the next segment of our discussion, I want to leave persons thinking about this. I raised it on Thursday. On Thursday, as you know, I was thinking about the question that the Apostle Paul asked. He said, why should your freedom be determined by another man's conscience? That was the question that he asked. So I want you now, as we take the break, I want you to just consider that in your mind. Why would the Apostle Paul say to Christians, say to believers, that they should yield on the matter of personal freedom for the good of others? He says, yes, for the good of others. Why is it necessary? How can it help? Because we are, of course, moving towards a more prosperous society, and we are seeking to recapture ground. So how can we just begin to think, how can I put my freedoms on the table as a gift, as a sacrifice to capturing my community? Let's take the break, yes, Mr. Engineer. All right.
Looking to clean your vehicle super clean? 123 Clean Car Wash, located at 2 1/4 Osborne Road, Kingston 10. Entrance on Grove Road, below Tropical Battery. They wash and vacuum, undercarriage wash, engine wash, polish and compound, shampoo and detailing. Call them at 876-631-3400. 123 Clean Car Wash, the best in the business for a cleaner wash.
free. Believe me, it's so easy. 1, 2, 3.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales, shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, King.
For many decades in Jamaica, when Black History Month is being celebrated, we learn it through the confines of slavery. Amidst the facts and fictions of what we see and hear, the question keeps surfacing. Aren't there truth and traditions in our history? We will attempt to tell the story of a people, a royal bloodline, a holy priesthood, and unbroken lineage. We will share with you our truthful story on Best 100. FM. Up you mighty race. Accomplish what you will. Let's return to truth and traditions. Right here on Best 100 FM. Bringing it to you truthfully.
Vijam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vijam Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. Thank you, Miss Jackie. I am terrible at it. I have a listener online reminding me that we need to say to like, share, and subscribe. Right.
Jackie look like she's telling everybody about the program. Thank you very much, Miss Jackie. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm getting there. The producer give me all kind of speech. But okay. I'm just happy that one person gets it. And then, maybe Jackie will be the person to
only take a spark to get a fire going.
Yeah.
I just off the bat in terms of 1660, I was sharing with somebody that you know and I know who on her own has this foundation that she helps people in communities. I was sharing with her this, and she said, "Yeah, man, I want to do that. How do I get involved?" And she's overseas.
Here's my fact sheet.
Yes, I'm gonna send it to her. 'Cause she's saying, "Yeah, how are we gonna do that?" But so as we share just a simple fact sheet about the 1660. So how do you participate? Go ahead, Ms.
All right. So I've prepared a fact sheet. This year, Jamaica celebrates 60 years of independence, and the Morning Connection hosts have launched an initiative to recapture 60 communities from a decline to crime, decay, and/or poverty. We will partner with community leaders to establish a community-based organization to oversee and implement the vision for your community using effective and sound principles of kingdom living and sound governance. How to participate? Create a video log or photo journal of your community, highlighting the environmental conditions that require transformation. Submit your log or journal to the Morning Connection's WhatsApp number. The number is 876-361-6583. Or you can send it to the studio WhatsApp number, which is 876-279-8473. Organize a cross-denominational group of 3 or more persons to lead the process of documenting your vision or main objectives for change in your community. Your vision will be used to create prayer points for church leaders and community members to use in private and corporate prayer. Of course, corporate prayer is group prayer. You can have a prayer meeting. The Morning Connection will visit your community for an outdoor broadcast and organize the resources to support the work of your community-based organization. The fourth step in the process is to maintain a log of your activities. so that the Best 100 FM listeners can share in the celebration of your efforts in August 2022 and later in December 2022 when successfully implemented projects are recognized and showcased. Now, those are 4 main steps. It's very simple. I wanted to keep it simple. Create a video log or photo journal. Send it to us. You have the numbers 361-6583, or you can send it to 279-8473. Either way, we'll get it. Organize a cross-denominational group of 3 or more persons. What do I mean by that? If you have 3 churches in your community, 4 or 5, get 1 person from each, because this is a spiritual journey, first and foremost. And it is a pairing of the spiritual with the natural. So we're starting it the right way. Get a group in place, 2 or 3 or more. We want 3 or more persons because for some NGOs, if you're going to set up a co-op, you need at least 10 persons. Some can be smaller, can be a one-man thing, depending on what your project is. But remember, you are looking for community participation. So you don't be a one-man band. Try and bring a brethren with you. Okay. So set your group up. Talk through what it is you want to see or do. Maybe each of you can, from your perspective, create a log, a video, a photo journal, and you combine the 3 to see, okay, what are we seeking to accomplish for our community? It should be noted that the community-based organizations are meant to be sustainable, not a one-hit wonder. They're meant to be sustainable, and therefore organizers are required to build a network of volunteers and participants with capacity and interest to continue the work beyond 2022. This information is going to be available on, I'll put it on the Best FM website. I'll try to get some kind of mailing list going, and from time to time we will repeat it on the show so that you can get in touch with us. We have a few persons who have indicated their interest. I'm going to create a basic little data gathering sheet that looks like not an application, but just a registration sheet. That's what it's going to be. Once you get in touch with us, we'll send you the registration sheet and you can get your information. I see that we're going to have to develop a strong online presence for this. So persons who want to contribute to the different communities can know who's doing what in which community and contribute. I know that if you want to do like an after-school homework or a tutoring thing as one of your projects, I already have a volunteer because our caller from Portmore Neville has volunteered. 12 subjects he does. So you can't miss. Whatever your needs are, there is a way that we can get you involved. Good morning, Conrad. I know you're just waiting to support one of these projects. So bless you for that. Yes, we just need to get it into our hands now.
Right.
Okay.
Therefore, we make declarations over the 1660.
All right. How you want to do the declarations, Master?
Because there are 6, so
There's
can
6
alternate.
declarations. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You bring it closer.
I can read, sister.
Okay. Oh, your glass is good, man.
Right.
All right. Let's go. Let's just remind our listeners the power of declarations. At the turn of the year, we call them resolutions. Say you're going to make a resolution. But these declarations are of great creative and spiritual power. You shall declare a thing and it shall be so.
Life and death is in the
power of the tongue.
And we shall eat the fruit thereof.
Yeah.
And so today, we decree and declare that no longer shall the princes and leaders of the land abuse and oppress the people.
We decree and declare a time of freedom, empowerment, and prosperity for the people, a season of outstanding achievement.
We decree and declare that the administration of justice in every sphere of life shall be freed from the limitations of cynical and unbelieving men and women, and that justice shall indeed flow like living waters from the throne of God into the bellies of every man and woman.
We decree and declare that every Jamaican man, woman, child shall increase in knowledge of self and of the one true God, such that the divine creative power to prosper and excel shall be unlocked in this generation and generations to come.
We decree and declare that the hearts of our leaders and their bowels of compassion should be open to hear the cry of the people and to respond with love, generosity, and respect.
We decree and declare that the ordinary men and women in communities across this land will become families that work together in harmony to assure the well-being of all members, giving special care to our children, our elders, our women, and those with disabilities of any kind.
We decree and declare that the above declarations shall be so, and we will indeed see the manifestation of it in our lifetime.
Thank you, sir. Of course, Pastor and we encourage everyone just to remember that in the exercise of your personal freedoms, we're not just working for the good of self, but for the good of others, so that in all our actions, God may be glorified. Now, these declarations are going to be part and parcel of what those participating in 1660 will use in their prayer points. So you'll have the general declarations that speak to the health and well-being of the nation. And then we will develop with you specific declarations that speak to the vision for your community, your little community that comprise however many households, however many persons. Whatever the problem is, as you see it, whatever you desire to see manifest in your community, we are going to articulate them, create a scriptural foundation for them, and join you in prayer to bring it to pass in your communities. That is the Morning Connection commitment, that we're going to partner with you in spirit and in truth to bring to pass the change that you want to see. I believe that every Jamaican who can bring themselves to that point of commitment concerning their personal affairs and what they see around them will be a part of the force that push back those who have held us under siege. And, you know, I was a kind of child because I was, this weekend, my mom was reminding me that I was not very social. She celebrated her 80th. My son, who is really my image bearer, my son was there, and he was, that afterwards, I got a call to say, why was he looking so unhappy? He was bored. He wasn't very, you're celebrating an 80-year-old birthday. I think a 14-year-old could feel a little out of place. So anyway, talking about it, and my mom said, but I remember when you were a child, you were not very sociable. When everybody would want to go to do something outside of the house or to go to the shop, you were usually stuck in a book, and you were not usually were not very outgoing. So the truth of it is, I'm not surprised. And she went on to say what I had already picked up, that and believe me, the producer was, well, he was a more sport kind of fellow, athletic wise. You played football, and by the time you were in your early teens, you had fallen into a band of merry men.
What it was Alibaba for tea, or it was Robin Hood. Robin Hood and the Merry Men. All right, I take that back. He was never in a band of merry men. But I mean, I tell you, Lowell not much different. Very, sober and not want to be up and about. So you have two parents who know how to be alone. So my mom was saying, okay, you were not much different. Why did I start to talk about that? The band of merry men distracted me completely. Anyway, the point is, your communities. You have a sense of what will work in your communities. You have a vision for it. Yes, that is the vision that you want to bring to life. You need to explore it, share with others, and create a vision that will bring some amount of peace and benefit into your community. That's what we are looking for in the 60 and 60. And that is such an important point. We encourage to exercise our personal freedom, not just for the good of self, but for the good of others. So in all our action, God may be glorified. For the goal and do unto others that is one.
As you would have done.
Do unto you. Let no man think too highly of himself, but let him serve. Let him serve. Let him serve in community. Let us bring back community in our nation. That has been the bedrock of our nation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you come from a farming community, so
yes, sir.
It's a farmer land needs to be reaped, and so on. You come together cooperatively to reap. And the only thing was there was food and laughter and music you were to it. And then when the other person, your neighbor, would move across
and you do the same. Yeah. And if you don't have earlier, can I tell you one of the things you said to me that never left me? It was about relationship. You cannot discipline without relationship. Similarly, you can't get help without relationship. Yeah. You don't wait until the disaster is upon you to make friends with your neighbor. Be proactive and build that relationship. It was in my spirit to say that there may be some communities that what they lack is spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those who went to the kind of high school, or if your school was into team sports and sports day was a big event, there are some schools where spirit is one of the areas in which you compete.
We call it Spirit Week.
Yes.
In some schools, it's called Spirit Week.
And so the idea that even in the education system, spirit is recognized as kind of the home court advantage is called the 11th. What is it? The 12th man or the 11th man?
Or the 6th man.
Right.
Basketball 6th man.
Yes, with whatever team, that additional person. Well, spirit is at the heart of this 6th, 12th, whatever, third man, concept, that it really is the spirit of being in a place where you are honored, you are loved, you are supported. That has enormous influence on the outcomes of whatever engagement you have.
Yeah.
When you are under siege, the thing that breaks is your spirit.
That's true. You don't have to become downcast.
Absolutely.
Hearted. Why
your
are we doing
spirit.
The spirit? That's what it is.
Break your spirit. I tell you, my spirit can never be broken.
Right, because you're in community with God and your husband and the family and everybody. There's always a refuge that you can go back.
Always.
And so one of the things that I was talking to one of our congregants on Saturday, and she says on the weekend she's a project manager, and she was just commenting and saying that, I turn off the phone on the weekends. They're calling me, but I tell them, no, this is time for family, because you learn to establish life-work balance, which is what is missing a lot of person's life. And you talk about communities.
People are missing work.
Yeah, I know.
They would love to establish life-work balance.
But you do that. But what you're saying is a very important thing, to know that there's a place that you can retreat to in terms of, there's always support. And that is something that is missing.
So the reason I raise this, you may be listening and saying, I don't have a great sense of community in my community or where I live. But the streets are okay, the houses are clean and tidy, and the place is nice and quiet, and I'm not disturbed by my neighbor. But do I even know my neighbor?
That could be a problem.
You might be thinking that my community is okay because the obvious signs of oppression are missing. Can I tell you? A too quiet neighborhood is under oppression too. It's a different type. If you lack spirit, that can be a project. Yes. And I mean, some places, when I was doing sociology and looking at how urban centers seek to create communities and to humanize themselves, I grew fascinated by. So you have the dysfunctional side of it, namely cities bring on isolation and depression, and the suicide rate is higher in the city than in the country. And the mechanization, the so much technology around you strips away your contact with self and humanity, and you become, less than human. That is the worst case of city living, that it is personal, a distance, then you are somewhat dehumanized. How do you bring spirit into an urban environment? Then you see things emerging: the social clubs, the athletic clubs, the parks, the places for congregation, for exchange. And then in some suburban areas, you get the block parties. The homeowners association is not just a tool to safeguard the streets of your neighborhood. It's also a place to build spirit and to build a sense of community and ensure that when the wolf is at the door, you can call a neighbor and surround the wolf. And these are some things that we need to look at.
Citizens Watch.
The Citizens Watch is regarded as like home guard. It's responding to a need for security, and I'm talking about spirit. Spirit is just feeling good with each other, caring and loving each other, relaxing together during the good times, as well as shoulder to shoulder, supporting each other during the bad times. So you may have a community that is scoring high in terms of infrastructure, in terms of gentility, and maybe crime and violence is at a low ebb, but it lacks spirit. Like my community lacks spirit. I'll tell you the truth. I glimpsed my neighbor for the first time a couple days ago, waved to him. But my community lacks spirit. I wouldn't even know what's my community, truth be told. I moved into there. Absolutely. So,
next door neighbor. I'm saying, oh, she's over there. Okay.
But if I have a fire or if there's some disaster that needs responding to, so I know my community lacks spirit.
So that could be a project.
That can be a project.
16.6. What are you going to be doing in terms of moving it forward? But we're embarking because
I must get someone in my community to do a project. Parts are you in my community?
Well, I'm in another community. I'm up the road from you, but
try to escape me.
I'm not escaping you, but
maybe the producer can do a project
in the community. Yeah, but in terms of shifting and changing mindset, that's what it is about. But you know why a lot of things have happened, and this is just my perspective, which is we've become so engrossed in ourselves, me, myself, and I. And that's the only focus I have, that we've forgotten the other persons who are out there. And it just speaks to a lot of things that we see being manifest on the national stage in terms of what has happened. We spoke earlier about the fire. It's 5 days, and it's not even a week, it's 5 days.
5 days since the last fire. Yeah.
And then talk about Community International, nuke threat, NATO, Russia, US, China. All these things are beginning to happen.
Is this your attempt at doing the news?
No, it's community, because what my point is,
you're just hitting them and running off. Yeah?
No, what I'm saying is we're talking about community, things happening in community. There's a community local, there's a community regional, and there's a community international. And what role or what are the expectations as you're in community? And you've spoken about there's a spirit of cooperation that happens in community, which is a major thing. I'm helping you, and you alluded to it in terms of you being rural. I've been going through the news, it's kind of interesting. I think for that, she said, no, I started $700. $700 so to be where she's at today. And alleged because of a gang food. What the gang food is about? Extortion. We must go in the market and collect. They're fighting over it.
So and they're
not even thinking, so when they burn it down, where do we collect the thing from? If you can't catch cotton, it does destroy.
So the other market fire is thought to be the work of arsonists as well?
We're not sure. It is in this one, it says it's because of it. It could, because Railway Market have been signified in recent times. You're wondering what is happening. Because the truth, it become feeding ground. I mean, feeding ground for people who do not believe that they need work.
Well,
I believe they must pray and people are working hard. Because I've heard young men say, we go to work now, and these guys sit on the corner, and they know when it's pay week.
Was this a government market?
Yeah, all of them.
It says Oxford Mall Arcade.
It's all of them are. Government build the structure and try to maintain it because they have to pay market fee there.
So it should be insured then. I say it almost tongue in cheek, but it's a serious point. Look at what's happened here. Government likes to self-insure.
True.
Meaning they will collect fees from people and rent them space to do things, but they don't have insurance based with an independent agency that would cover the loss that occurs. If this lady were in my building and my building burned down while she's my tenant, you bet your bottom dollar, unless I can prove that she started the fire, I will be liable to her. And we've got to look at these things. There is a thing called the Occupiers Liability Act, which requires the occupier of places to cover persons who are injured when things happen. And it's not just personal injury if you walk on the property and drop and break your foot, because there's a hole that they should have fixed. But if there's an unsafe situation that leads to a fire, even if it is the work, our friend of mine, a listener to the program as well, who has cattle, has agreed that he would donate a pair to the young farmer whose herd was stolen, and we talked about it. Yes, so I do want to get in touch with the young man, with the young farmer. So if anyone listening knows and is in touch with that farmer, which part was he from again? Was it in Canada? I don't remember.
Yeah, man.
It was in the paper. So I want to
It was his.
Okay. I want to find the farmer and make the connection because one of our listeners who has a substantial herd, I asked him, and he even shared his own story with me of how he had been the subject of some very larcenous behavior. And how we dealt with it too. Very effective. One day I'll tell the story. But right now the engineer says break. So let's take our break. Please remember, we're going to open the lines when we come back. The numbers to call are 619-1508, 279-8473. This is the Morning Connection. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be back.
Hello, I'm Debbie Russ with the BBC News. The head of the United Nations Refugee Agency, Filippo Grandi, says more than 500,000 refugees from Ukraine have now fled into neighbouring countries following Russia's invasion last week. The UN says many more are displaced inside Ukraine. The Polish government says more than 250,000 people, mostly women and children, are at Poland's border with Ukraine. Adam Easton reports.
Said Poland is allowing almost everyone to enter the country from Ukraine, even those without documents. But he said the enormous number of people fleeing the war was creating a very difficult situation. Simply
This is the latest world news from the BBC. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is dispatching 4 of his cabinet ministers to Eastern Europe to help supervise the evacuation of Indians from Ukraine. India has nearly 20,000 of its citizens in the country, mostly students. Only a few hundred have been able to get out so far as the fighting escalates. Italy's Foreign Minister Luigi Di Maio is visiting Algeria to discuss increasing gas supplies to make up for likely shortages in Europe due to the Ukraine crisis. The European Union gets around 40% of its gas from Russia. On Sunday, Algeria's state oil and gas supplier Sonatrach said it intended to increase gas supplies to Europe via the TransMed pipeline that links Algeria to Italy. In other news, a United Nations report says human-induced climate change is already causing widespread and dangerous disruption, affecting the lives of billions of people around the world. The study by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says adaptation to new weather patterns is vital, on top of making deep cuts in greenhouse gas emissions. Victoria Gill has more details.
This report is set to be a stark scientific warning about the impacts of climate change. For many major cities in developing countries, it'll highlight that tackling climate change now isn't about cutting emissions and reaching net zero targets, but about adapting to immediate threats like extreme heat, storms, and flooding. Teams of scientists from the almost 200 countries involved in this international scientific endeavour have been signing off the final assessment's conclusions for the last fortnight. But war has now disrupted that process.
Residents in Hong Kong are stripping shops of essential supplies after the government said it might confine people to their homes to control the coronavirus. It had previously said it would not impose this extreme measure. Hong Kong reported more than 100 COVID deaths on Monday. BBC News.
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
My station.
Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM, keep listening.
One in.
A hurricane we name. Are we rough? Whether we are man hurricane or woman hurricane. We want you to know that. We come here to mash up building, blow down things and take clean no ramp. We no respect no one. So no take no chance with we. Listen to Adprem and prepare.
Hurricanes do happen, so be prepared. Yes, be prepared. A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Live the life. Respect the music. And keep your radio locked in.
Best 100 FM.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
Best 100.5 FM brings you youth empowerment and resilience, a 30-minute program with Royton McLaren every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Your Monday nights will not be the same again. Managing stress, trauma? Let's talk on youth empowerment and resilience with Royton McLaren on Best 100.5 FM every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m.
Wagwan.
Guten Tag. Buongiorno.
We are
The Kingstones.
I think I love you best of them because you're better than the rest of them. It's so amazing how I love you best of them because you're better than the rest of them.
This is Madam Michelle, and I want to take time out to pick up all our artists link up, kings and queens. Artists link up, one link.
When I'm in town, I tune into Best 100 FM, ALU, with Madam Michelle, every Monday at 6 p.m. Listen to some of the best music. This program is sponsored.
Melody in my voice. Came in sharp, full of vibes. Best FM run the town. Yes, I run the town. Yeah, me love you to Empress Kamisha. On Best FM, and it's all about the resetting. Mondays to Thursdays, 2 to 5 p.m. on Best FM. Keep it locked. This is Warrior.
Veg Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veg Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Connection. We are going to open our lines so we can begin interacting with you. And while we are waiting on the calls to come in, I want us to look at some of the things what's making the news. Short wait, says the producer. As Pastor Percival was saying, a lot of the headlines touch on concern, the things we've been talking about, the symptoms of being under siege, the consequences of the siege, and the impact that it is having on society. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yes, good morning to you both.
Morning, Malvern. How you do?
Yes, all right. On your topic of sexism.
Yes.
You did mention men, women, and children, and then you said you made a request for women once again. I was wondering if that's not a preferential treatment.
No, I didn't address. You have to repeat. Let me tell you. What I have. I made a note about sexism. I spoke about roles being assigned to individuals based on their gender, and some of the roles are unwanted by the person to whom it is assigned, and the person who don't get it might want it.
Yes, that's a real question.
No, I'm trying to understand what you thought I said.
Women separately from the group.
Women?
I made a request on their behalf.
No, what request? I don't recall. I'm not relating to what you're.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, another question.
Sure.
In Ukraine, there's a rule that they made recently that says men are not allowed to leave. Men of military age are not allowed to leave the country.
Where?
But,
in the Ukraine?
Women and children are. Is that sexism, you think?
Is that sexism?
Yes.
That the men are not allowed to leave, but women. But women can leave.
Yes, women and children are free to flee.
I don't think it's sexism in the context that it's occurring. I think what would be sexism, it would be if women were mandated to leave. But giving women the choice to stay and fight or to take care of the family, that sounds more like preservation of your society. But you need fighting men. And so conscription for the army that is like, an accepted approach to building your army. As long as the women are willing to stay.
I was just going to say,
the choice
why don't
to
you
stay.
have fighting women?
They are fighting women.
No, but you say most of what has happened in the past, if you even follow what has happened in the States.
There used to be a ban.
Yeah, ban.
That was sexism.
Yeah.
Or is sexism. That would qualify as sexism. When you prevent one gender from having access to certain things because of their gender.
But
aren't you preventing men from fleeing because of their gender?
Yes, you are, but that I would say is necessity. You always have to choose. You always have to choose between the potential procreation, meaning wombs to carry babies, and to look at and safeguarding the society.
Yeah, but when it comes to procreation, women don't procreate by themselves, and neither do men.
No, they don't. But young boys can procreate as well as old men. You said men for a certain age.
All I'm saying is that the men are prohibited to flee. The women are free to flee.
And I tell you, okay, I take your point.
And it's irrelevant.
It's fair.
And remember now that I was not defending it. I was merely citing it as an example of how it can happen. And you have identified one way in which you at least find that it would be oppressive.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And there's a beep online that, anyway, we do have another call. So.
All right, thanks for raising it. But it was just stating the different form
Good morning.
of oppression.
Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning, my people.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. My papa.
But I never play this weekend, right?
Yeah, man. How was the weekend, sir?
Good enough. I had an excellent weekend with all the troubles of doing ministry, but that is par for the course for me.
Yeah, man. And how was your weekend, lady?
Very good, sir. Thank you very much for inquiring.
Okay. Now, I was listening to your comment, and it was mentioning about community.
Yes.
And how some communities are quiet and
lack spirit.
Lack spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, but I it is good. And what the disappear argument I'm saying is that with people living in their communities, they need to know each other and mingle and so on.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that. But do you think if communities, people live in the communities that share the same values, the same, they're not from the same social class, they share the same values and so on. Do you think that's a problem?
No, not a problem. I think maybe at first, but if you use the word community, and meaning is true, people come together from different walks of life and create a community. Because even if the values are different, you will find a merging and an integration and an exchange that should create the community that we're talking about. Meaning persons have enough of a shared, they come together around sufficiently important shared values to allow for community to grow.
Yeah, but
if not, we're talking about a party.
What does that mean in Jamaica, you see?
Yes.
I see people from different values, different experiences and so on together.
Yes.
And because of that, all right, for argument's sake, there was a famous Jamaican moving to a community one, and he brought all of his values that he had in this community. Loud music, the a lot of people night and day and rank or something community.
Yes.
And the community people, his neighbor was very upset because they don't use that type of lifestyle.
Right.
So
have you noticed that we haven't seen more complaints in the media? What do you think has changed?
Yes, but if enough of those individuals were able to move to that community, they'll change that community. The reason why we don't hear about that is because it was one individual.
So do you think he has fallen in line or the community has grown to accept him?
He has fallen in line because one individual. Suppose it was 20 of them. You don't think that community will be the same?
But are you objecting to a community changing because the face of it changed? Because the change must come if the face of it changes?
I am objecting to people that have different values moving to a community and changing the face of the community.
So how would you make that objection into reality? Because we're talking about freedoms and persons buy houses where they choose to.
You know why we have to be in this country? Because it was not a community, we're one community,
And so it's changed.
And the people moving with the type of values that they have. And the people move out and leave them there.
Do you see a pathway for recapturing these communities through teaching and sharing the values that you're speaking of? Because that's what we're talking about with the 1660, recapturing communities through changing values and perspectives and doing some work on the ground.
Yes, but until we recognize that some of these values, the cultural values that a lot of us have, is not something that we should celebrate.
Okay.
Until we do that, what people are going to do is just isolation is just good. Because I personally don't want to live in a community where people every night get up and music and organize,
But would you like to be a part of teaching them your values?
But yes, but as I'm saying, we have a culture that is supporting that. For me alone, it is an overwhelming society now. That it is not church night. It's people who have paid dance and music and midnight. So we just have become a nation and a culture of noises.
Right. We are discussing a strategy to change that. So I hope you will support us when you have the opportunity to. I have another call to take now. So thank you, my brother.
All right.
Okay.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So it's first time you calling, sir? First time you calling?
Good morning.
Morning.
Talk a little bit louder, bro.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. I have a problem with this parish.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, what you heard? Yeah.
So, the Rasta boy, came on the TV one night, and them proclaimed that Portmore are the most educated, quite in the island. A large part of the population in Portmore is educated, but yet still, the
man was saying, Rastaman earlier, that if you, like you say, how we say this, if once Portmore becomes a parish, then the roads will come in, the hospital will be coming, and all of these things. But it sounds like another, if you want to sleep the winds and doors, where politicians will make promises, you know, but at the same time, without working it out. And I believe, to me, my opinion is, forget about the parish. Why don't build a hospital? Because the hospital is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without even thinking of turning it up. Give people a hospital.
Because it is necessary, because I think 250,000 to 300,000 people live over Portmore, it is estimated.
Right. But building the hospital is more important than turning it into a parish, because all it requires to turn parish is to go to parliament and change that little paperwork, and that's it. It doesn't require any hard work to turn it into a parish. And at the same time, there are many parishes across Jamaica that are dilapidated, people carry water in the mid. How come those parishes don't turn into back for us?
So you're quite right. You're quite right, my brother. The need for infrastructure is a current need. You need your roads, you need your hospitals, you need a sound economy now. It has nothing to do with being designated as the status of a parish. It's one of the ways that politicians speak down to people and make statements that really have no foundation in logic or reality. And I'm glad that you are rejecting it.
Right, but the Rastas, if you take the people, you think that people are educated, don't come across. I think.
Don't treat them as though they're illiterate.
They make it look as if once it become a parish, all of things will happen.
Yes, without
any. Yeah. The problem is the ulterior motive behind it. It requires little hard work, little work to do something. It requires a lot of money. So give the people hospital, because when you look at the COVID, you couldn't find a hospital bed. You don't have enough bed to put people in a hospital. That shows that there's a need to build hospital just in case we should have another pandemic.
All right, your point is well made, my brother. Thank you so much. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning, Mr. Minute and Mr. Pastor.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, maybe I'm deep on it still sick to hear about it. I'm not going to explain it out. You know, I mean, some questions come to my mind and I ask.
Yes.
I guess my in your talk. And I'm about to ask again.
Okay.
The only thing that I say is that, all right, as I say, not something to start and die out before in a little short time, something that should continue and grow. But I feel like, when you say 60, where did 16 mean?
This is 60.
60.
Because we're 60 years,
60 years
of independence. We say one community for each year.
All right. Me, myself meditate and I say, all right then, understand what you say, but I feel like the intellectuals of the country who really are sincere changes to make, who really are speak out. I mean, not going to unite still, I feel like a greater force, a great force to lead. It's little communities should come together.
Yes.
I feel like someone to find a way, somebody among them to come out and try and make a link. We see something really needs to be done. I think Kabu is a very lovely woman to link up. I think the idea needs to link up, and as I said, it's a very powerful force, but the idea to the high level is intellect. A true intellect is a part of morals, You can look into life, think, analyze the things of life and say, yeah, go right way.
Yeah.
And after that, it's still not intellect. You must university or college or whatever. That's not intellectual.
Yes, and we're suffering from it somewhat in Jamaica, as we have seen.
I them try, you guys do.
Yes.
Because over the years, there's a few people really are saying things that make sense, But to me, I feel like they had need to unite. Because we are fighting against some for the very rich, or we have to pull our resources together.
True.
And this made them from over Portmore, never. We got never. I mean, never talk about the some support.
Yes.
They have the work, They me a call.
Yes.
I really work more.
You're ready to work.
All
right. Wait. Thank you. We have another call. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning,
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Ras.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, what we're doing a while ago makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to I feel like WhatsApp connection. WhatsApp everybody.
All right. Well, you heard I gave the number this morning. That is the Morning Connection WhatsApp number. What I said now then, to if others need that prompting. Send us your contact so we can create the group, because I do want to publish information in a group environment so we can do broadcast. So it's starting, but it is starting organically. It is not, we are very spirit led in the sense that.
What's happening? I don't want, we should get the kids. We want to get the kids under of kind of fault. Like, I know Jamaica are really independent. Just a so called independent. You know what I mean? So when we want to keep them with me to like, we're going to jump on and say 60 independent and all that, and Jamaica are independent.
But Ross, let me share a perspective with you this morning. And this is my personal perspective. You only change things that are there, and you have something they want to change it, but you have to create something new. So the truth is, out there we are celebrating 60 years of independence, okay? But we want to say we want a new paradigm. So we have to use what is there and then shift to a new paradigm in terms of bringing about change. Because it's something that don't exist when existentially it is there. You have to deal with it and come up with a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's a different way.
Yeah, man.
So I want fair, like a tree.
No, not chicken them, but to the outside world, in Google, where Jamaica become independent, 1962, that's what.
Well, we've had our own flag for 6 years, so whether we have stepped into ownership.
When we have our own flag.
Yes, we've had our own flag for.
But anyway, I want to talk here about the student them were are Ukraine.
Yeah,
Ukraine.
Some are in Poland. I can confirm that.
They're reaching Poland.
Yeah, some of them are reaching Poland. I don't know if all of them. Some that I we've been tracking because of my school connection. They said 10:32 last night. They said we're in Poland. A bus can pick us up.
Can you stay with us while we take the break? We've got the signal to take us now, right? Just stay with us, please.
We'll be right back.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
My station.
Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM, keep listening.
Make me your radio and turn me up when you feel low. This melody was meant for you. Sing along.
But if it comes on the sheet, you don't play.
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Off Hagley Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. We have two callers on the line. Caller number one. Welcome.
Yeah. So yeah, I was saying that.
Yes.
It really deal with it shabby, because it take me back to the time when the people in the North on the sea, when the Karuma thing was just coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it sometimes you have to wonder, what is really working in Jamaica? What is really working? Because you don't see the health sector not working. The security, it is very rampant. The education system is out.
Well, so you agree with me then that we're under siege? Those are the hallmarks of enemy attack. We're under siege. And you have critical services that are not being delivered at the right standard or at all. And when your own government seems to be in opposition to the well-being of your people, Jamaican citizens were on the shoreline on boats. We should have taken them in. We made it so difficult, the media to get involved, and it became like a standoff. Similarly, you had students in Ukraine, and the government's first response was to offer them a loan. They were to borrow money to come home. Now it has boiled down to where it's always been. A humanitarian gesture, bringing them home, covering the cost of bringing them home. We're not so cheap and broke that we can bring a bunch of students home at the amount of danger. Now we're having to hear that these two persons fell ill in a trek across snow. Remember, except for the brave few who want to do bobsledding and other such things. We're not snow people.
But from first, we don't have an ambassador in Ukraine. And from first, Jamaica should set up a way where our students shouldn't be in Ukraine, them studying doctor. Because it's too expensive down here. Because I understand.
Yeah, but students or citizens are free to go where they choose to pursue their dreams and their ambitions. We wouldn't place limitations on them for that. And we do have international structures and relationship in place. Yeah, I mean, right now, it was a Jamaican charge their fare, met them at the Poland border. So we have structures in place to deal with any misfortune that befall a Jamaican citizen anywhere in the world. And depending on which class the citizen is from, the response seems to vary. These kids needed to come home. These children needed, or young people, because they're young adults, needed to come home. And we were talking about lending them money. Now we see that the Prime Minister's Foundation has made a personal donation of 11,500. The People's National Party arranged perhaps at the same amount or more, because the leader of the opposition, I saw something saying that he had personally sent money to cover train tickets, and then they made arrangements for airfares and so on. Now, as a political gesture, things are being thrown at them in abundance, a little too late.
By the way, yes. Like, you believe that our Prime Minister should have a trust fund?
I would not. No, you cannot. I would not interfere with his right to set up his own way of making donations and so on.
Someone can contribute to the trust fund and the whole thing go on, man.
True, but what you're talking about now is administration of it and the way that it accounts for whatever money's come into it. But we wouldn't stop him from doing that.
Come on, you see that's why Jamaica run like that.
No, but Ras, but it is something that other leaders.
When a man become a public, not out in public like not public. You can't money people at trust fund, man. You can't. You're not supposed to have a trust fund.
Yeah, no, it means that he has to. You can't stop him from setting up a trust fund. He has rights and freedoms. It's about transparency and management. Yeah. And if he doesn't call it a trust fund, Ras, he's gonna call it a constituency fund or something that everybody can put money in.
So I call him and I give him $1 million and I say, well, Jasper, give me a hand, shaking hand and try to know him and stuff like that. And then I can tell you, the next time I want to be funny, and it becomes that is where corruption.
That's true, but that's not anything new. He was flown on a private plane to some hotel opening and he actually got a per diem and it's in the news that it's shameful and disgusting. But it's a question of these things are managed, and we do need codes of conduct that govern how our public officials behave in a social context.
Yes. In 1960, in the 60s, right? Sometime I think about 63, when Singapore was come up, right? I know Singapore was a little small country in Asia, and a minister go out on holiday with a businessman, wealthy businessman, and when the minister come back, Lee Kuan Yew them charge him and run him out of the parliament, and from that there's no more corruption.
Yeah, but does Singapore have a parliamentary democracy, or it is a more centralized form of government?
No, I say that to say this, that when you're dealing with public life, our people that power, right? You don't want to jump in on a businessman private jet. You can open a hotel and you can do that. Come on.
I agree. And our Integrity Commission is at fault because they should have a code of conduct on how the Prime Minister travels in situations like those. I, for one, don't want my Prime Minister on a private jet. Anybody might sabotage him, might give him poison, they shoot down the jet. I would not put his security in private hands.
Yeah, but there's another businessman can look in things and say, look, no, you're not money special for an hour. You use the country time to go out in some other country, in some other island, to open
a private business. We agree with you. We agree with you on that, and it needs to be addressed. And as I've said, the Integrity Commission has always had the power, the authority to introduce codes of conduct that govern those things. And these are some of the things we need to insist on as we are going through this process of,
That's what I'm saying. We need to set up anti-corruption law, just like we have an anti-gang law where if a man, 10 months on a corner, you can investigate a man in a gang, you can also with the anti-corruption law.
Yeah, but
all right, my brother, we're gonna take another call now. Remember, there were two of you, and these are points that we have long been in agreement with you on, and we hope that we're gonna see a change.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning. But here is the challenge with that. If you are a businessman and you go into politics and you become prime minister, what is the procedure? You put things in trust, you come off the boards. How does that work in our democracy?
A businessman, and you're going as prime minister, or
are you going as a member of parliament? Yeah.
I don't know that there's any understanding. Most of them have their business the same way, and while I think it's their choice how they do it. There's a requirement for a blind trust. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing? All right, Santa. How are you doing? But that means good then, Santa.
Another call, so let's Santa say his piece. Talk, my brother. Don't let Pastor distract you.
That town hall, was it a town hall meeting about football?
I don't know in what context the statements were made, but they were publicly made, says the caller.
Did you watch it?
Not me, no. I did not.
Pastor, did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
Well, none of you guys did. Anyway, that was not a town hall meeting. That was more like a promotion, a political promotion for the people to turn into a parish, which I don't really care about the turning into a parish or what, but it was strictly political, one-sided.
I don't think anyone is denying that. In fact, the caller is saying it ought not to have been so. He's saying that whatever advantages or whatever infrastructure is needed, they need it now.
But I'm saying,
yes.
The outside broadcaster,
Yeah.
That guy, he's a green man. I don't like to date people, but he's not always going to, like when you're doing outside broadcast for the station, he goes to the valley, he goes to the,
Yes.
And the background, the advertisement, the writing, when he's up there broadcasting, the background of the writing is green, eagle green. But anyway, that's their thing. What I'm saying, most of the guests get on the panel. We're agreeing with the parish thing.
Yes.
You know, so it was an advertisement for
a political agenda.
Yes.
And I understand what you're saying. And that is how the thing has been tracked all along. It is definitely a political agenda. Some have said it is so they can create a constituency that doesn't come with the scrutiny of the opposition because they would control the numbers. So it is undoubtedly a political move. Can the community benefit? I think the community should insist if they are powerless to change it, they should ensure that whatever happens works to their advantage in the long run. Bring in the development that you say will flow with this new status and bring it now if it is so close to hand.
The next thing I want to say,
yes.
This was on TV lying, telling a lie that she don't know if the president of the JSS is PNP or Liberal. She's lying.
Who is that?
What are you talking about?
The president of the JSS, the Jamaica
Federation.
Okay, Jamaica Federation.
There was a complaint that they don't give them enough help because the president is MP. She's saying she don't know what the money. She's lying.
Who?
Babs Grange.
Okay.
Oh, the minister.
The minister. Okay.
I see.
They know everybody.
It would be strange if you are not sensitive to the political affiliation of senior people in various organizations. Yes. That would be strange. All right, my brother. Thank you so much.
All right.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning and welcome.
Neville, thank you for calling us.
Good morning to listeners and your valuable callers. You know, two things I want to say quickly this morning. You know, Vladimir Putin, he told the United Nations that he's defending the Russian interest because of the future of the Russian children. And he's also telling them that he's doing everything because of self-defense and he can't allow the West to penetrate his backyard with certain capitalist agenda that they have for their future children. The Jamaican people must realize that we're living in a political economy where political agenda is being set to prepare for their children while wiping out their children.
We need to take the same protective measures.
Why not? Because Portmore don't ready for nothing. Portmore stink. Listen this now, Portmore messy and filthy. Portmore want a massive clean-up campaign, but them not cleaning everything over here. Think the money them fight for just like Putin and Ukraine. And Europe and them. And them have guns and bombs sell now, make enough money. Germany has sell enough guns and bombs. America has sell enough guns and bombs. War is a business.
Business.
This is a war in Jamaica. Listen this now. Minimum wage. Minimum wage is set to raise in Jamaica on the 1st of April, the 9,000 for a 40-hour work week. Now in Portmore, just using Portmore as an example, most of the places littered with gambling house, which is not good for our community. Because the man who set up gambling house in Jamaica and call it cash pot and all sort or something, them can't put one up a cherry garden or Narbrook where them live. Because they, because they know that the gambling house would devalue their community and value their future asset in the real estate. But the politics of the country allow them to litter all over every other community and make money to live in Cherry Garden and them for them rich and poor. And it's real crime. Now, the gambling house in Portmore, they open from 8 o'clock. So most of them is occupied and by young women. They come and they open it up and they sell and they work 12 hours a day. Now, when the minimum wage raise, you're supposed to get $225 an hour. So for the week of 40 hours, you're going to get 9,000. But most of them work up until 8 o'clock in the night. It means that 4 hours supposed to go for overtime.
Yes.
And the labor law said that overtime is to be paid at time and a half. So if you work 4 hours overtime for the day, for 1 week overtime, for 5 days, you're supposed to get $6,750 more than the 9,000. Most of them get a day off, so they work on either Saturday or Sunday, which is supposed to be double time. So that 12 hours of work, which is not on your day off on the weekend, you're supposed to get $5,400 for the day. You know how much you pay salary for the week you come to that gambling house? Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to you, man.
$21,150 if they pay you according to the labor law.
Yes.
But the place is so depressed and deprived in that these gambling now, that's using gambling because it's just for the corner shop and the bars and all
place of mass employment, yeah.
They can only pay 10,000 a week while exploiting all of your hours and turning in a porting your house and leave you to the poorhouse. When them come in your community and exploit all of the rich and maintain their lifestyle in Cherry Gardens and Beverly Hills. That's it. So you see, we in America now, what's going on in Jamaica now? It's worse than what is going on in Ukraine because the people in Ukraine who fighting, they're fighting for oil.
And they can see their enemy as well. So we have some unique problems here that we need to confront.
You know what war they're using against us in Jamaica, Pastor?
Right.
Giving the fools enough road to win themselves.
Well, I tell you, we are on the siege. That is why I've spoken and we have addressed it that way this morning. So we are looking now to break. We're breaking the siege.
You know, we're going to have to break the siege now. Come the 1st of April. And you can't pay what I'm supposed to pay. 8 hours a day for 8 hours. What you can't pay for overtime. If it's dirt, it's dirt. Because we no work for you. And the rest of Jamaicans have to take that stand and have a national strike in this country and stop making politicians them brainwash you and brainwash and use you till you reach your grave while the children live happily ever after.
I endorse that, my brother. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All the best to your part on this minute.
Thank you, Neville. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good accountant, you know. And over there, you know. I tell you, a real soldier and Gideon here.
Yes, well, and we got to build up the courage and the resources not to take some of those tough decisions because as long as we keep showing up, they will keep giving us the same.
Yeah. When I meditate, I was them hear up on news about government spending X amount of cash within the army, you know, and people say that for things, you know. And the army will do this and that, but as you say, prevention is better than cure. It's more cheaper to prevent that thing than to cure. Right? So if they push more money in the basic and primary school, make sure they pick them properly educated. They don't want to. Like properly educated, nobody can be that. So you don't.
Yes.
Just like come and never attack, they couldn't underpay these people working on them as practice alone. So you say, I'm talking about Jamaican, Jamaican. Trust me, the money they put in that proper just more.
Well, yes, that's what they're doing. It's building a force. Yeah.
Yeah, for oppress us more, you know. So as I say, and again, if every time we talk to owner, this is sure, as Malcolm X say, come back and look at peaceful revolution. Yeah, revolution.
Yes.
But him not want none. So you say, I'll check history, you read sharp on these ones, right? If we keep talking and reasoning and showing the science, the science thing, and you come and do reporting it. On the first bit upon us a war. I know that you know, Miss Minette, you could have got a big AK-47 for your pastor. But I'm supposed to me give that to your pastor.
But you know,
I am using the weapon that I have, and I'm not holding back. So if I know that part of my job is to prepare the troops, I am preparing. I'm doing my teaching and my building up of the mind, so we are strengthened to go out and do what needs to be done. And we know it's not peaceful. It's going to be disruptive.
Which is good, because if the last of the first day, we must use up every peaceful method first.
Absolutely. Good. You know the drill.
Right.
You know it. Thank you, brother. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning to you both.
Hi, Jigsaw. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Wow.
Just a little bit disconnected. It's hard. Beg your pardon?
We're listening.
Oh, well, I'm getting an echo and feedback.
It's on your side. We're good on our side.
It's repeating what I'm saying, so don't let somebody get on that side.
It's on your side. We're fine. We're not getting any feedback.
Hold on. All right, I think I need to come off speaker.
I think he came off the call altogether. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're good, man. Very good.
Well, I want to reason when this minimum wage come in effect.
1st of April.
1st of April, is it?
1st of April. And over the years, you know, the 1st of April is what day?
Yeah.
All Fools Day.
All Fools. So these people take Jamaica as a fool. They don't want to come out and say bright enough that Jamaicans are fool. That day. Why they couldn't pick the 2nd of April?
Well,
or the 1st of March?
Well, because it starts with the new what is it? The new tax year?
Financial year.
Financial year. But all of that is part of the same narrative. all of that is part of the same narrative. The first day of the financial year is All Fools Day. So that's part of it.
People say that full budget them, but yeah. No, some people say it's a full budget to fool the people.
Well, we're right now.
Absolutely. Our decision, the truth is there. And some of us are trying to peel back the layers so to make it easier. But it is a personal choice if you want to continue, being bamboozled.
You know what I think? We're looking at this country to move forward.
Yes.
Because of our mindset.
Well?
And what happened yesterday bad. Somebody come to today and them say the man they just say bad. So nothing can come with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We keep on bringing back the past and gone. Let's stop the future. Let's stop the problem right now of us now and stop going back. That don't pass already now. All we have to try and
fix it now. Absolutely. But you see, it's taking personal responsibility because we keep looking in the rearview mirror. We're seeing other persons and criticizing how they handle it. We're not looking at ourselves and recognizing that we need to make the change. So you're on board with the change, my brother.
Forward we're going.
That is messing up us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We're going forward. All right, my brother.
Good. All right.
Thank you.
Good.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning. The umpire cancel there.
No, it's the player. Because you're the one.
Hello. You commented. You said that what? Going forward?
Yes, man. We have to go forward. Together. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Together height.
Yes, sir.
Right? Personal level, family and relation level.
Yes.
Communities.
We're operating in the sector.
Yes.
Employed person.
Mm-hmm.
I hear part of the community. That's big on you guys' agenda. I hope to find a way to support that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a willing volunteer.
Yeah, man. We're going to pull on you in a jigsaw.
What?
We're going to pull on you. Pull on your
yeah, but I can't hear from you guys. I leave a number with Andre a number of times now.
It's all right. We're coming.
I'm a bit lousy with the phone, Okay. I don't get short up particular time to pass me today.
Okay, all right.
Let's correct that in the course of this week.
Yeah, man. All right.
Thank you very much.
So, this means a Portmore.
Yes.
The people need to stand up and say, no, that is the junior minister. Right? Mm-hmm. No matter how good your dreams are, and your vision, and your plans, to implement it, you can't do it without
people.
What?
Money and people.
Financing it.
Yeah.
Right? Resources. You have to put resources to it. So it can determine where resources come from, where you can start off to follow you through on a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. As one famous politician used a phrase, you better target it.
All right. Yeah, man.
Don't forget it. So we need to look at that. And we need to let these people who are talking about parish realize that they need proper infrastructure. They residential material already, and you have some commercial activity. What they want is some other business on the outskirts, and whatever radius that you can run transportation to have more people employed over there. You understand?
Build an economy. All right, brother, we got signal for the 9 o'clock break. I don't know if you can stay with us or...
Yeah, I can stay with you, man. I don't
All right, thank you very much. Okay.
Hello.
We'll be right back.
Easy! Let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer the truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Donna, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith. God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
My station.
Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Splash FM, keep listening.
Melody in my voice. Kemisha plays the music nice. Melody in my voice. Kemisha full of vibes. Best FM run the town. Yes, I run the town. Hear me loud and clear.
Portmore. And one should be in a Trelawney there somewhere. Okay? And we need high-tech hospitals so we can utilize the expertise, medical expertise and nursing expertise that we have people all over the world delivering the service. Get most of it done right here.
All right, sir. Thank you. Your recommendation is noted. I think there's a lot of agreement. I think there's a lot of agreement that additional hospitals are needed, and the Ministry of Health.
We need to go after it. We need to identify some financing to run.
Yeah, but I think the Ministry of Health unveiled. Think so. You should check out what the Ministry of Health unveiled.
Expertise that we have all over the world, telemedicine. Right?
All right, my brother, thanks. I'm trying to tell you that there has been a plan in the health sector. You should check out what the Ministry of Health has put out as their vision, additional hospitals, improvements to the infrastructure. Very modern and forward-looking. Look at it and then call back and tell me if you think it is adequate.
I'm not aware of that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Good morning. Come to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Listen, I'm an old man and I didn't know that I could cry at this age.
Oh, what made you cry?
When I hear that this government here is lending money, giving a loan to students who is in foreign country, who is under war, to come back, believe me, I felt it.
Me too.
And I'm not talking politics. I don't support nothing.
No. Just the humanitarian response that was required and we missed it.
That is disgraceful, shameful. And if they say they can't find money,
ask for help.
Make a suggestion to them. You see, those people in government and public spaces who is thieving millions of dollars, and when they do caught, they put them, just move from one ministry, go put somewhere else. Then nobody going to prison. Ask them how to find money. They know how to find money. Just ask them and them get the money.
Yeah. Can I tell you, my brother, that is what made it additionally, that's what deepened the sadness for me, that we have so much complaint of corruption and so many obvious areas of waste and excess in government. And we have some students who can't afford to buy their tickets and jump on it and come home, which tells you that they're students from a certain maybe from a, you don't know, but whatever the reason, it's students who could just swipe their credit card and come home. And our government's first response was to send some proposal about a loan. I know I did not see enough of an outcry about it because in my heart I knew that the people who would really protest don't have access to the airwaves to say how they really feel about their children being treated that way, the young people being treated that way. We
did not know.
Yeah, no man, it was disgraceful. I know, I agree with you on that one. We missed it. And I don't think we're off the hook because now everybody is saying, here's some money, here's what you do, and so on and so forth. It should have been the first response.
It should have been.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Thank you, my brother.
I want to make a suggestion to the government, and I'm going to keep making this file for the rest of my time on earth. The minimum wage, they have it at $9,000 now. I think that the government should put make a, what you call it now? Looking for the word, put some subsidize that with an additional say $3,000 or $4,000, and they can do it once the people are registered as household helper or prove that you are working for minimum wage, then subsidize it. And if they are serious and they want to do it, they can find the money. The one you them tell me not about don't do our money. They have it and they can find it for whatever they want to find.
Well, sir, there are tried and true strategies on how to close that gap. And you're right. It comes in the form of subsidies or allowances to cover children, people who have special medical needs, or there are many well-established ways that it can be done and done in a way that takes it above handouts where you start to worry about political interference and the like. So my hope is that this commission that is looking at minimum wage and say they want to continue sitting so they can come up with ways to give people a livable wage. And my hope is that they will turn their attention to the various ways that you can add value and allow persons to get by with some more dignity. Thank you for your contributions. I appreciate it.
We don't want no in here.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks.
Good morning. Welcome to the morning connection. Is there another call? No? Okay. A couple of things are being said on the chat. Go ahead, Pastor.
I was just saying in terms of that suggestion, what you need is a greater coordination in terms of all the things that are happening socially, tie them together, and then put money
and use that money properly to get the right person.
Get an automatic thing.
Yeah.
Once you are
So
identified,
put out the community, the constituency development fund, redirect that money into proper programs that people have equal access to, and it's not too politicized. Good morning. Welcome to the morning connection.
Morning, Mr.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Pastor.
Good morning, sir. How you do?
I'm gonna good luck I do you.
If you say so.
What you saying?
I did the grandma from West Branch area.
Yes.
What do you know?
Man, they actually disabled community disability number. I get it. I show let me link to Right Murray.
Well, sir, I sent a request to Senator Morris for permission to give him a number, for his permission to give you a number. And he has not given me a number for you as yet. In fact, he was even on air with me, yes, a few mornings ago. But he had given me a number. Still, Pastor Percy has the number for council. Pull up the number, Pastor. We can give you the number now. We can. Yeah, man. We can give you the number for the council now. You want to just hold on a second for it? Let me take it's the only number you want. You can just hold on. Percy's pulling it up, and I can go to the next caller. Is that okay?
No, I would let it talk from listen to more talk to never.
Okay. All right. Neville, I'm sure it's okay to give Neville's number. I don't know. Is it? I'd have to. Usually, yes, brother, when persons ask for a number, I have a number for Neville. Which if he's listening and can call me to say or send a text to the engineer to say we can go ahead and share it. I do have a number for him that I can share with you.
Okay. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of two things. Maybe it's best I call you back with two numbers rather than tie up the line.
Okay. So I can hang up right now.
Yes, you can because I do have your number. We'll call you back with two numbers. Neville, please call me or send a message to let me know if it's okay to share the number that I have with our listener from Grange Hill. All right, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care.
All right.
968-8373.
What number is that?
Comes for people with disabilities.
Good morning. Welcome to the morning connection.
Yeah, man. I love never number 2, you know.
All right, wait.
But otherwise, I meditate on the minimum wage. So I listen one of them minister there, one of them parliament people that talk about the minimum wage. And when I say that, all right, minimum wage is this. That no means the employer to pay that.
Yes, true.
You know, he can pay more if he can. If he can, he can pay more. He just say the minimum wage is like that, and but below that.
True.
You know, so I guess then we have to come to the next law. Then we show it all right there. Every year or 2 years, you raise the people them. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, there are adjustment for inflation.
You're right.
Especially people who run business where make money. You can give a peak. The point is, if I work at them comfortable, the business supposed to run nicer. Why would they want your workers them to be uncomfortable?
To be right. You know, I mean, I went on record earlier to say that the employers who are waiting for the government to give them permission to treat their staff better are being disingenuous. That is not right.
I love the number. I would say link for one, you know.
Yes.
We need link resources.
All right.
Not much. But you have much.
Wayne, I'm gonna create the group and have the numbers on it, so you'll be able to see it on the WhatsApp number that I announced earlier.
You got this morning, you know, maybe I remember that's what you said. But to me, you know, I'm like from my trials, I go through my trials, and I try to up on 2 for the mama and the father and the brother, have them, my sister, no matter where them there. Because guess what? From a little bit of mistake, the Lord, the cheapest thing that me ever do. Listen to me, man. Tell anything you want, them come. To me, not let's follow up on me, and me lose everything. Me lose that.
Spirit will not break.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to the morning connection.
Good morning to you, Pastor. Good morning to you, Sister.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm alive.
We're alive. Me too.
Yeah. You know, when I sit down and read and look in our country, and our foreign affairs minister is going to make that, telling students who want to get a better life. Because the university in Jamaica is very expensive. And they find a way that they can divert and go somewhere else and get the same thing.
They get scholarships too.
Yeah.
Most of them are there on scholarships.
Right. And even though it's private, it's my choice. So, but Jamaican, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to tell you're lending him money to come here.
They're to sign a loan document. Oh, Jesus.
And then, where are we going?
Well, they have shown their hands. And to me, that is a blessing. And we who see it and recognize it for what it is need to deal with it. So,
that is not the first time this I'm doing.
Where they take the offer to lend the people money to come home?
No, when people come home and they have blown that.
With the COVID thing, remember? The shift
Yes,
was
yes.
big hullabaloo.
The helplessness.
It is just showing what they are about. And on behalf of the station, and I think it's we the main guy that does that.
Yes.
I mean, a disclaimer that we are not promoting violence or anything.
Oh, you mean when we say, if he give me, remember it was personal, he said, if he give me a gun, he expect me to use it.
I'm saying to him, no win. I say, no win. We're not going that way. Yeah.
No, man, I mean my gun net. Don't take away my gun that way and just give me.
well, be careful. No, remember the type of gun in somebody.
No, AK-47. So I say, we believe.
Be careful of these things that's really. Because less than that, and, you have to do apology.
Yes.
Right here,
Yeah, but my encouragement to you, change is happening, and change is coming. And we have to hold the course. Do not be weary in well doing, because in due season we shall reap. And we rise up with wings, because we trust in Him, and He's not asleep. We've been saying on this program before we take the next call, be not deceived. God is not mocked. And even in terms of that statement that says, you're going to give a loan to come back, it is just revealing what is in people's hearts in terms of what they need to do.
And then when it looks about it, start getting funding from here and there. Both sides,
Yeah, we know.
Yes.
We know.
Both sides, because the other side can collect up some money. But it looks so shameful.
Yes, but so we must not be disappointed and forget that was the first response we got through the true heart of the people.
Yeah.
We thank them for stepping up, but now you look like they're stepping up to look virtuous.
Yeah. And I hear the foolish shall be crying.
Yeah, absolutely. Apart from me.
It can relate, even though we thank them for them though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and I say it's individual effort.
And my last thing now,
yes.
There's a girl that was on another radio station in an interview, and when they asked her, when you finish all of that, if you're coming home to serve your country, she said no. And one of the interviews said, why? And she didn't want to respond, but she know that it's, something moving just like here.
Yeah.
Anyway, another big one. Yeah?
You too, my brother. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning, both of you. This is Anthony from the West.
Anthony from the West.
I'll try to make it as far as possible.
Yes.
I did it for the past 3 weeks.
Why?
About 7 months.
Okay. Right, Anthony. Welcome.
So the first one is, I have somebody is given 6 used laptops, for students in Jamaica.
Yes.
But there's a lot of red tape. Do you know any argument that could bring them in?
You can't come to.
Even if I can trust me that I'm not know what customer want and those things.
Okay. All right. So leave your number, and I'll talk to you and try to point you in the direction that it needs to come through. All right?
Good. The point is, there are the whole pension thing set up in Jamaica. There are persons who live abroad and collect pension through the bank.
Right.
They die abroad and the money go to the bank. Who knows about it? They are pension abroad, collect pension in Jamaica, but they collect in Jamaica or straight to the bank account. If they die here, people are going to the bank and they keep collecting it for them, and they're dead.
Well, I had to deal with it from my aunt who died, and the requirement is for you to notify the country or the institution from which the pension is being sent, and there is an obligation in law for any sums that were sent, after whatever period of time to be returned. So the banks would themselves be in problems if you know that a relative had died and the money is still going to the account. And of course, executors of the person who passed away should have knowledge of which bank it's going to, so they can make the right inquiries. But it is it's commonplace, and there's a SIM that tracks it, and it is fraud to collect pension money that is not due. So the banks will be in problem if you are concerned that banks may be robbing people in that way.
It's not a relative or whoever needs here. Collecting the person is dead. It's not the bank.
But you see,
the person who collects money to do with a bank card.
Yes. Yeah. But there's a responsibility to notify the agent, the state agent that is paying the pension monies. Yeah, it is fraud for it to be otherwise. So anybody who thinks that because I still have the card I can keep drawing and none the wiser, once it comes to light, you are liable to be charged for fraud. It's fraud.
Okay. Yes.
And then the other thing is, in the Jamaican system, you need to verify like every 3 months. It happens also overseas because I've had to verify
the proof of life. So it'll stop.
It will stop.
Yeah, but if it stopped before, if it stopped after somebody has taken advantage of it, it's actionable.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I was deputy. I was a deputy maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And learned that every third Thursday, the amount that you come to Jamaica, and there's no plan for them. And if there's no plan for the deputy when they come to Jamaica, they know some members away from this.
Yes.
If they don't have a plan in place, it's going to get worse. And what they could have done for us, like a period, is to have big piece of land, somebody can have a farm and houses, where they can just board and do a farm for 6 months or a year.
Resettlement program.
Get some money until they can decide what they want to do. At least a start, I think they should look at that.
But you know, and I was gonna say, do you know that that private sector interests can start up a project like that? That's an excellent project to be done not by government but by private sector, because if government do it, then you have other issues with breach of people's rights, because it's almost like you're imprisoning them again. But I think it is a beautiful project for the private sector to initiate. You have land in the country, set it up so it's that kind of co-op and help people resettle when they come back home under adverse conditions. You have land in the country?
When my grandfather had about 100 years land, I don't know, we can say no electricity and nothing, so.
Yeah, but you can set up something. Think about it. Since it is on your heart, it may well be something for you to address.
Okay.
Yes, right.
One other thing, I would love if I hear people don't know about, Jamaican going back to Africa, I think it should be mandatory in school for at least one African language to be taught. If we plan to go to Africa, we would want to drop into a system where we have no true African language.
But it's an excellent idea on the face of it, but there are so many.
It's an excellent idea. Yeah. Thank you, my brother.
Two quick others, two more.
Yes.
I heard also that the government have been making some items that I don't know are talking about the countries that benefited through slavery to help us. I think what the government could do, if it's not done yet, is to list how much money they think it would take to take us up the poverty line. Because to me, right now, if we get everybody above the poverty line and they put that figure to the bill and see they can get hope that the money comes or gets stolen.
All right, sir.
And I mean, my last point now. I think the government can get a lot more revenue and taxes. I want to say taxes, I mean, including like regular taxes and due to vehicle tax, all of those. They put a flat rate, because a lot of those don't pay tax. They put a flat rate and each tax. So every time you go to the road, you have to pay a tax, because we don't pay. In Jamaica, the taxmen don't pay PY and those things. They just wait them and put the.
All right,
so they put a flat rate on there. Not pay a lot. I think the government can have a lot more revenue there.
Okay. All right. Thank you for those suggestions. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yes, hello to you. Tell me something. That question from Paul. Where is it to be found?
1 Corinthians. First Corinthians 13:6.
No. Which one? About your freedom being
Yeah, it's 1 Corinthians 13.
No, it's not. It's
10, 16, something like that. Yeah.
It's in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Yes, it's about 16. Read all of 1 Corinthians chapter 10.
1 Corinthians 10.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. There's another call. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection. Oh, okay. I was loving some of the suggestions from that caller. One in terms of, by the way, Kete teaches African language. One of the sisters on the. Yeah. So if you are interested in learning an African language, it's not difficult to organize it at all. And the resettlement project, a resettlement project for deportees, it is necessary, but I think it would be wonderful if more private sector persons stepped into that space and show people some love who are being sent back to the
there are some churches that are involved in that now, but so, probably need some other thing.
I'm thinking that it would be good if we just did a discussion about what's happening with a community of persons one of these mornings. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Percy, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Is it Sheppy?
Yes, I can ask you two questions.
Ask both of us.
Tell me something. Singapore is a communist country.
No, they now have a system of representative democracy under republic model where the president is the head of state.
All right, then why you started that first?
Oh, you mean long time ago? Because yes.
So when it changed?
In the late 50s, 60s, yes.
No, it changed now?
Yes.
No, it is representative democracy.
But they move up by socialism.
From yes, they don't. Their parliament, they have a parliament, legislative assembly, and MPs.
But I hear people talking that because when they have a certain person your program, you bring up Singapore. But let me tell you something.
Yes.
It's like in Jamaica. Listen this.
A little off.
Little of what?
Communist.
You mean democratic socialism?
Yes, the dictatorship where you could get nothing. Eat what you grow.
No, but that is
that's not dictatorship.
That's not dictatorship. You are democracy. No, man.
If you have the money, you're carrying apple and they take it from you. You're carrying your meal and they take it from you and all those things. And the rights and all those things they couldn't carry in their country. Not dictatorship that.
No,
The money that you have now, remember that the only legal tender to which you are entitled in your country is the money of your country. When you begin to have expenditures in foreign currency, you are now inviting the government to have a say in how you spend the money, because the foreign currency, it is only the government who can control your access to it, your use of it, and so on. So it is a doorway through which control and regulation can enter, because you are using a foreign currency, and that is now allowing government to see your business. If you have your money in Jamaica and American apples are here, you can spend as much Jamaican money as you want by American apples. Can you stay with us during break, Sheppy? We have a station break right now. All right, yes, but take the break. They're being strict with me. All
right. I just before you go here.
Yes, what's the question?
Tell something. When a gentleman in that you have to put more again. He was the one who implemented the program about this second thing. He's going to have to put more on.
Make Portmore a parish?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'll answer the question for me.
Okay.
Cool.
We'll be right back.
Looking to clean your vehicle super clean? 123 Clean Car Wash, located at 2 1/4 Osborne Road, Kingston 10. Entrance on Grove Road, below Tropical Battery. They wash and vacuum, undercarriage wash, engine wash, polish and compound, shampoo and detailing. Call them at 876-631-3400. 123 Clean Car Wash, the best in the business for a cleaner wash.
1, 2, 3, believe me, it's so easy. 1, 2, 3.
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
It's my station.
Moving.
My station.
Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM. Keep listening.
This is Madam Michelle, and I want to take time out to pick up all our artists link up, kings and queens. Artists link up, one name.
When I'm in town, I tune in best 100 FM. ALU with Madame Michelle every Monday at 6 p.m. This is some of the best music. This program is sponsored by Gel Music Records, Kalanji Music, and Bad Bull Productions.
Madame Michelle was born playing the
man. So they know. Are the wisdom of God Almighty give away?
Yes, sir. Well said. Thank you. Good morning.
Did you know that I went to Mandeville, Manchester?
Yes.
And did you know that people in Manchester call we from down there Santa Cruz country people? Countryman.
So Manchester is the city.
No, they look down on the because when they're up on Manchester, they look down in Tenderness, like, you know. But I want to tell you something. In the 60s, there was a lot of white people living in Mandeville.
You know what
Did you know that?
Yes,
because of bauxite.
Bauxite.
Not only that, but a lot of them left when Michael Manley took over. They run away.
Oh, they left Kingston? Or they left
Mandeville, Manchester.
Oh, okay.
So they run away. Anyway, what I call about the chef, every time that guy called to oppose him.
But he didn't say much, so what you're opposing?
After the 74 OPEC oil problem, Michael Manley started to have problems.
Oh, you're talking about they have your money and can't buy foreign food.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, don't bother with that one. Address for me what he was saying about Portmore, because in 2003, Portmore became a city. I think it was under the PNP. I remember the municipality status, which is different from being a parish. I'm trying to answer his question about whether the move towards being a parish was done under the outgoing mayor or it's been a JLP agenda point.
If the gentleman...
To me, it's because it's in parish as long as it can benefit people. I don't have a problem with that.
No, he was asking about authorship of the idea. Whose idea was it? Did it start with NP or with the JLP? Did it start with Mr. Lee, who I know Mr. Lee fought for it to be a city? To be a municipality, which it is.
And became then the other gentleman.
I think it was it started something like
for
that.
it to be a city, yes, and gave it municipality status in 2003. Yes. But for it to be a parish now is another conversation that I'm not sure who is the author. I haven't seen that yet. All right, brother. I do have.
That's the government. No, that's the government doing that.
That's the JLB. All right, thanks, sir.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection. Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm President Maggie. I'm sorry, you know. Can you share the roast money now?
The roast bread fruit money? Eh? So like you have a business going there, remember?
So where can I buy the roast bread fruit?
No, I'm a weekend like Saturday from them did it.
Oh, okay. Where you sell it? Same place in where I saw you? Oh, I have to remember that. All right, what's on? Yes.
Yesterday, TV. The TV at teach dummy.
There are a number of programs, yes. That
the television in Jamaica, them are teaching them sodomy. And it is not good. If a man call the program talk about gun, people call it one. But nobody call and one about the TV. It's a disgrace. What do you see a girl that come up on her phone? 3 little school picnic.
Meaning Jamaican children?
One girl and 2 boys. I'm not telling no lie, man. Be honest. Right now, hey, 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yes, man, Mackenzie, the one who said the infrastructure them are fixed up.
Oh, dear. Oh.
Him just know.
But they're now doing their warm up towards local government elections, and it is being the promises of road repairs in Westmoreland is being offered. I look at it within that context because he says in 40 years of active participation in government, he has never seen roads this bad. And that is it's just unspeakable that we get to these are utterances that we have to live with. I pray that people see it for what it is.
Politics in.
Yeah, man, that is rough. That's rough. I heard him making that statement, and yeah, I know. We see now they're using state resources to tours and make statements about obvious that, oh God, I pray that my people open their eyes, see things for what they are, and hold people accountable.
I'm talking about people who are 40 miles to get water up on it. Eh?
Yeah.
And I see them walking out, that's where we're starting there in the community, you know. I get the road in the city.
Well, that is why Pastor Percival has been saying, do not be deceived, God is not mocked. Don't carry out with the behavior and think that it's gonna escape notice.
And them are showing one little house seminar to the line up. Hey, and these people have money to buy water tanker.
Mm-hmm.
Eh?
I hear you, my brother. I hear you.
Miss Minetti.
Yes, sir.
It's good to be here.
I know. I know.
Bless the name of Jesus.
All the time.
Bless him. Good morning, Sister Mitt.
Morning,
Good
sir.
morning,
Long time
sir.
we never hear from you. Good dog. Hello?
Land of the living.
Yeah, man. Good.
We're going to you and Sister Minette and change them. I wish. Almighty God, the glory, the honor, and the praise for the verb, the commitment, and the dedication. The Bible says in Isaiah 4:6, why our people perish?
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge. And the Bible says in Proverbs 14:34, righteousness exalted a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. I listen to you.
The quality of your call, my brother, is so poor. We're not hearing you.
You know, Alicota?
Yes.
All right, I'm saying that our people perish because of lack of knowledge and righteousness exalted a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. I listen to Neville, Wayne, and you and the bridging them with the positive vibration. And if we can come together and unite together and push this forward, we depend on the sovereign Lord God Almighty. We can come out victoriously. Or we are just trust Lord God Almighty. The AFRENCH.
All right, Leroy. Thank you.
All right, my brother.
Eternal God and our most holy and righteous Father, and Miss and Sister Minette, and all of the call of them a call with a positive vibration. Pray that will keep us and live a life of fearlessness. And we stand on the Logos word, stand on the promises of Christ Jesus, our Lord. Guide them, direct them, and after some people I make them chant say in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. We can done let rich red by tear of applications blood of Jesus Christ water our soul and us in fight and foot fight and the sweet discernment and help us understand the Logos word that we can thanks in Jesus Christ's name.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yeah, second swing on wheel. I think for hello.
Yes, man. We're hearing you.
Second swing at the wheel. Oh Lord, I'm in trouble again.
Oh, you're calling us. You're not.
Calling get off the
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So tell the pastor, this one is for you. I don't know how big I can be, but I over here particular on this program. What should we try? What should we be trying to center ourselves with? The spirit and the teachings of what is name given Jesus Christ, or the
both, but more the spirit and the teachings.
Yeah, because some teachings are laid down, not at all.
That's true. And so the whole
I have a challenge with that. A lot of people come out there and a lot of mumbo jumbo and they say, boy, they're coming gonna deal with anything. It said, push me off the ladder. I think straighten out.
Yeah, so
it's the teachings and the spirit and essence of what is in the teaching.
That's all right. Because that is what brings the transformation and the real.
They want to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is, you quite often speak of covenants.
Yes.
By the Bible, we know of two covenants. Which one we should be trying to live our life by? The old or the new covenant?
Because the new is after the old, because Jesus said it himself. So it's a new one, the new covenant.
The new covenant, we can't go back to what we should have passed over. Back in the times where things was good at the time, not needing us to let ourselves, higher self.
Right, so the old covenant, that of what would become the reality in the new covenant. Yeah, thank you.
But from what I hear and listen, I think most people.
Okay, the old one.
That is why we can't express any love and care and other positive things to one another. And put away on other things. Everybody want to be judge of judgment or this sense.
Thank you for making that. Yeah, man.
Wrong for me.
Brother.
All right, man.
Thank you so much.
I'm not a church, man.
Thank you. All right, brother.
All right, we're talking. We're going to get together. You might not link up.
All right.
I volunteer for the 664.
All right, then.
Right. Yes.
Work with the team on the program, from the station, and on the
ground,
on the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Today, because I need to post the information.
What we'll talk about, we have to work with.
Yes.
Good.
All right. I did a little. Thank you very much. I think that was. You came up about Singapore and style of government. So I just pulled up the Declaration of Independence. Singapore's Declaration of Independent State. They're just a touch younger than Jamaica. Singapore was once a state of Malaysia and declared its independence on the 9th of August. And they established their sovereign state as a sovereign, democratic, and independent of liberty and justice, and ever seeking the welfare and happiness of her people in a more just and equal society. I know it came up because Lee Kuan Yew's style of leadership was, I'd say, somewhat authoritarian, but in the most beneficial way. He was clearly in those Eastern societies, the codes of conduct and the forms of behavior and so on. We are a lot looser and less careful with some of the ethical considerations, and it's reflected in our style of government. So we're all practicing a democracy, but what is democracy? Reflects the flavor of the underlying society. Yes, Pastor, you might pretend like that. Really? Oh, good teeth, man. Then you should be proud. Looks like when you leave
identity. But I'm glad that you went and clarified, because people misunderstand. But in establishing Singapore, so this is what we are. This is what we are
striving for.
A sovereign, democratic, independent nation founded upon the principles of liberty and justice, and ever seeking the welfare, crucial, and happiness of our people in a more just and equal society.
And so now we're talking about the impact of culture on your democracy, on your independence, and so on. Our culture, as has been said repeatedly here, our culture, who we are as an African society, ethnic group, has had no impact on our constitution, and we continue to suffer from that dissonance. All right, we're at that stage when we begin to start. Thank you. I discovered on the weekend that one of my favorite musicians, Elton John, is a remix of a beautiful remix of one of his songs. I definitely have to hear it today. Please, Mr. Producer. This is Cold Heart, which is a combination of Rocket Man and Sacrifice. So I want to hear that. You have a song. Oh, you got your song already. And because we are approaching the anniversary of Bunny Willa's death, I want a Bunny Willa song. I don't really know which one to choose. Mr. Engineer, can you find this remix for me? Cold Heart. It's an Elton John and Dua Lipa remix. And I want a Bunny Willa song. And I also want a Sugar Minott song.
It's going to target a producer.
Cold Heart. If you can find Cold Heart. Yeah, if I get one, I'm good. But while you're hunting it down, I'll just say thank you very, very much to the callers, to those online. I didn't get to do much looking at what's been happening online, but I hear you, Taki has given us the last word. He says so much work to do. Having understood, the time has come to step out, like the move from Brother Miguel and Entourage a few days ago. The pot is boiling. When will it boil over? With the WhatsApp group, Ricky B, I put the number on the chat. Guys, please just send us a note, give us your name so we can add you. If you are interested in partnering with